Right in the heart of the World Tree, various races share the same space peacefully. On this vast continent of peace seems to reign on the surface. However, far to the west, armies of demons and the human nation have been locked in bloody battles for years. No matter what's thrown at them, the monsters don't back down, forcing the humans into a desperate fight. But in the midst of this field of despair, a beacon of hope emerged, using the lost magic of the ancients to completely crush the enemy troops with spells from magic books. Rushing across the battlefields, people began to call them by a specific title, now known to all as the Grimoire Masters. Over on the wall, the soldiers are already shouting to prepare the cannons and open fire. The impact causes a gigantic explosion right in the middle of the enemy ranks. Right after, the commander orders the archers to fire to keep anyone from climbing up. A direct hit smacks a monster in the face with a burst of fire. Even with an arrow straight to the eye, the creature just gives a bizarre smile. In a horrifying act, the beast rips the projectile from its own face, showing it felt nothing. Gripped by panic, the guards curse these blasted monsters as the fire burns below. With its sharp claws, the creature scales the wall and prepares to pounce on its prey. Completely terrified, the soldier screams for his life, seeing his end up close. At that exact moment, a hooded figure opens their magic book at an absurd speed. Quick whispers invoke the great reflection of the radiant shield. An instantaneous barrier of light repels the impact and throws the monster far away. With a calm voice, the mysterious figure tells the soldier not to worry, for he is now safe. Two warriors land right behind him, asking if the folks on the wall are all in one piece. Apologizing for being late, the girl compliments the regular humans for holding on so well. Utterly confused, the guard asks who they are, while the elf complains about the castle stairs. Without wasting any time, our little hooded MC takes the front line. He quickly calls his companions, Elle and Laz, to action. Ready for combat, our boy announces he's going in first and opens his grimoire. Bowstring pulled taut, the elf makes the arrow glow with a surreal green energy. In a graceful leap, she fires a shot charged with pure magic. Like a lightning bolt, the projectile tears through the sky toward the demons. Confident in her power, the archer unleashes the volley upon the horde. Multiplying in mid-air, the arrow becomes a shower of strikes that pierces several monsters at once. Hand outstretched and full of magic rings, our MC activates his dormant power. Focused on the floating pages, he calculates the next move with insane precision. Standing on the parapet of the wall, his presence alone changes the entire atmosphere of the battlefield. Out of absolutely nowhere, a gigantic magic circle illuminates the night sky. By conjuring the sky-shattering storm tether, he dictates the pace of the fight. An immense gravitational force crushes the demons against the ground, immobilizing all of them. Not missing the opening, the elf and the swordsman charge in, full on aggressive mode. Giant sword in hand, the warrior leaps in with a thirst for battle, ready to slice and dice everyone. With just a soft touch on the center of his book, our boy begins the main spell. Ancient inscriptions come to life and begin to glow intensely. Purple lightning whips around the grimoire, accumulating devastating power. All this chaotic energy concentrates into a sphere above his head, making the air heavy. The climax of the spell fires an absurd pillar of light straight into the clouds. The layered thunder-pierced spell paints the sky with a summoning circle. A simple hand gesture seals the fate of the demon horde for good. His eyes boil with an intense, purely magical purple hue. A colossal lightning bolt descends from the heavens, obliterating dozens of monsters in the blink of an eye. With a front row seat, the warrior confesses that this level of power is just plain terrifying. Calmly, our MC closes his book and lands back in the castle. Amidst the residual lightning, he simply declares that it's finally over. Totally in shock, the soldiers can't believe he wiped out the untouchable monsters. They're blown away by the fact that the entire threat turned to dust with a single blow. Job done, the trio of heroes regroups and puts away their weapons. Finally, one of the guards puts two and two together and realizes who the hooded kid is. The hair color and that flash of light give away his identity instantly. Without a shadow of a doubt, he's the famous White Wolf Grimoire Master. With the sun rising in the background, the guards shout, getting the group's attention down below. Worried, they ask if the reinforcement team made it out of that mess in one piece. Analyzing the situation, the elf says that the human troops can handle the rest now. Handing over the past document, the soldier thanks them and says that with this, everything is settled. With the permit in hand, our boy politely asks if they can cross the border. The team's next destination is to head straight to the land of the dragon folk. Across the stone courtyard, they calmly set off toward their new objective. A bright light announces the activation of the magic passage in the portal. Colorful sparks engulf our protagonist first, initiating the teleportation. On the other side, the group is met with a stunning dawn in the new region. Tired from the journey, the elf questions if the so-called magic stone full of ancient spells really exists. Doubting they'll find it, she hears from her partner that she's free to go back, as he will follow Lord Alan to the very end. Annoyed by the blunt response, the girl yells that the warrior is too serious to talk to. Far from their bickering, our MC just keeps walking on quietly. Panicked at seeing her boss disappearing, She runs off, begging not to be left behind no matter what. Laughter ensues as the warrior gently pushes his friend along, continuing the journey. Just a little smirk escapes our boy, enjoying his companion's shenanigans. To get his attention, the warrior shouts for our boy. Super chill, our MC just turns his head and says it's time to go. Explaining the mystery, the elf says they call this relic the source of everything and the beginning of the world. Passing through the immense gates, they finally seek the legendary primordial magic stone. Way back in this continent's past, the gems extracted from the earth hid valuable secrets. These stones rarely held the lost arts of the ancients in their purest forms. Classified as absolute rarities, these beauties were worth an inestimable fortune. Right at the feet of an arrogant noble, dozens of slaves suffer, working nonstop. Forced to polish raw ores day after day, the folks don't get a second of rest. With the clock ticking loudly, the pressure in the workshop only intensifies. Wiping the sweat from his face, our kid thinks the day's work is finally over. But out of nowhere, a guard freaks out and starts shouting that the stones are barely polished. Boiling with anger, the taskmaster throws the ores on the table and questions if that shoddy work is worth any money. Without a shred of mercy, the brute grabs a slave's hair and calls everyone useless. Right in our boy's face, the jerk rubs a shiny gem and tells him to make all of them look that flawless. Suddenly, the guard feels a slight tug on his hand and gets totally confused. Without showing any fear, our MC calmly states that the answer is no. Completely ignored, the kid says that stone is still in the middle of the polishing process. Seething with rage, the guard violently throws our boy to the ground, complaining about his insolence. After the heavy blow, the kid just spits a little blood on the floor and hangs tough. Staring at the slave with disgust, the taskmaster admits that the kid's gaze is incredibly irritating. Stomping all over his pride, the adult mocks him, asking if the boy thinks he's all that just for polishing a few pebbles. In a cowardly move, the aggressor lands a solid kick right in the child's stomach, warning that he's about to teach him an unforgettable lesson. The guard prepares to make things much worse. Violently pulling our MC's hair again, he dictates the punishment, ordering him to polish everyone's gems in the room. Clenching his fist tightly, the guy announces he'll decide the workload with his fists. Without a shred of pity, the coward lets his hand fly and beats the child without giving him a chance to defend himself. Taking a heavy blow straight to the face, the kid almost loses consciousness on the spot. Ordering the rest of the slaves to go to sleep, the guard points to the fallen boy as an example of punishment. Scared to death by the violence, the other workers quickly scram to the barracks. Panning after all the hitting, the taskmaster counts only 3 blows out loud. Surprising everyone, our boy grabs the aggressor's arm and asks for 3 more punches on the house. With a dark and purely insane look, the kid warns that each punch equals more stones released for polishing. Totally freaked out by this weirdness, the guard slaps him across the face and tells him to let go immediately. Falling to the ground again, our MC continues to mutter, asking for more punishment. Like a zombie, the boy crawls, begging for more, while the man screams, asking if he's lost his mind. Terrified of the psycho kid, the taskmaster turns his back and runs out of the workshop. Shouting from far away, the coward tells the weird kid to stay far away from him. Watching everything from the darkness, an older slave is in absolute shock at the scene. Placing his trembling hands on the dirty floor, our MC finally manages to stand up. Returning to his corner in the cell, he sits on the floor, exhausted after the harsh punishment. Soon, rays of sunlight break through the prison cracks, heralding the start of another day of suffering. Noticing the morning light, the kid realizes he overdid it and was focused all through the night. Remembering the incredible colors of the red, yellow, and blue gems, he gives a small, genuine smile of satisfaction. Holding up a light blue pebble, he notices that the density of the pure magic concentrated inside is greater than in the others. Mesmerized by the soft glow of that magical relic, he simply finds it all too beautiful. Eager to see even more types of ores, the boy dreams of being able to spend the whole day just doing this. Noticing the kid's bizarre obsession, the elderly slave watches the scene with a look of pure suspicion. Cutting through the calm, another guard appears, shouting for everyone to get up and get to work. Giving the kid an intimidating pat on the cheek, the taskmaster ironically asks if he's ready to work yet. Suddenly sitting down at the same workbench, the bearded old man settles in right next to our MC. Curious about the change of seats, one of his cellmates asks what the old guy's plan is. Thinking to himself, the boy remembers that since his arrival in this hellhole, no one has ever struck up a conversation with him. Spending his days in complete isolation, this is the very first time someone has gotten so close. Getting straight to the point, our boy asks if the old man needs any help and gets a confirmation right away. Interrupting their little chat, the annoying guard orders everyone to do a good job polishing that day's batch. Threatening to beat everyone to a pulp, the jerk guarantees he won't have mercy on anyone who falls asleep on the job. Pretending to agree with the scolding, our boy just lets out a subtle, sly smile on the down low. Eyeing a very dark stone in his hands, he discovers a super rare mix of purple and red magic. With his anxiety kicking in, the kid already tries to imagine how beautiful that gem will be after the final polish. In an attempt to investigate, the old man questions why the boy pulled that crazy stunt of getting beaten up on purpose the day before. Getting a blunt reply from the boy to focus on his work, the old man insists on understanding what's going on in the kid's head. Shrugging, our MC claims there was absolutely no special reason to take a risk like that. Being absurdly honest, the kid lays it all out, saying his only goal in life is to polish the darn stones. Recalling the misery of his past in the dirty alleys, he says he'd never seen anything so wonderful before. Wandering the rainy streets as an orphan, the kid lived just to survive the next day, like a walking corpse with no hope for anything. He even admits that being treated like garbage in a slave prison is also a true hell on earth. However, inside these walls, he has the great privilege of spending all day playing with these shiny, magical stones. Totally perplexed, the old man asks if the kid accepted being a punching bag and lost sleep purely for this whim. Overcome by good memories, our boy closes his eyes with an expression of unshakable peace. Losing patience with all the questioning, the boy tells the old man to mind his own business and stop being so nosy. Holding the relic up to the light, he repeats that his only personal taste in life is appreciating the glow of the stones. In disbelief at the sheer madness, the bearded man questions how anyone could find dirty pieces of gravel so incredible. Enchanted by the reactions of the magic, the MC details that the more the polishing progresses, the more the mysterious patterns begin to shine intensely in the core. Finishing his explanation, the boy states that watching the energies dance inside the gem brings absolute peace, leaving the old man completely jaw-dropped. Surprised by the reaction, our boy asks if the old man can also see the magic flowing. With a heavy sigh, the old man just nods in agreement, shaking his head melancholically. After reflecting on the situation, the man confirms that the gem in the kid's hand might be the real deal. Completely focused, our MC discovers he's looking directly at pure ancient magic. Trying to make small talk, the old man explains that the stones they polish every day are the famous magic stones. Basically, these beauties hold a brutal magical power sealed inside them when paired with a grimoire. But he quickly warns that this specific batch from the prison is just a cheap, weak version. Curious about the gossip, the boy asks if there are other powerful gems like these out there. Upon getting a positive confirmation, the kid's eyes light up with pure excitement. Out in the world, there are gigantic piles of these magic stones scattered everywhere, filled with pure fire, water, and wind magic, far surpassing the scraps from the prison. Faced with this wonder, our MC is in shock and completely at a loss for words. Knowing there are all sorts of gems out in the world messes with the kid's head and his dreams. Even while staring at the little purple stone, he wants to know if the quantity out there is really that much greater. Without wasting time, the boy turns to the old man, asking where he needs to go to find all of them. To pour cold water on his hopes, the old man warns that first, he'd need to escape from there and survive on the outside. Suddenly, a bizarre bang breaks the silence of the workshop, startling the slaves. Startled by the noise, our boy immediately turns his head to see what happened. Completely out of nowhere, the old man takes a brutal kick to the back and goes flying, crashing to the floor. With his foot on the victim, an arrogant noble asks who gave permission to talk about the outside world. Holding a wicked-looking grimoire, the fancy man glares at old Klaus with pure hatred in his eyes. In the rich guy's hands, the magic book glows, showing the threat is no joke. Attentive to the whole commotion, our MC assesses the situation without moving a single muscle. Surrounded by armed guards, the aggressor questions where the useless slave thought he was going to run. With a look of absolute fury, the bearded man stares the big shot right in the eyes. Alert to every movement, the kid notices the insane tension building in the air between the two. With a mocking smile, the villain confesses he's surprised the old prisoner still has the will to think about freedom. In a whisper full of rage, the old man calls the fancy man by the name of Malik. Full of anger, the noble says the old man has a lot of nerve to dare show his face in front of him. Just gritting his teeth, the enslaved man endures the humiliation in silence for now. Soon, the kid asks if the two know each other and discovers that the rich guy betrayed the very path of mages. Disgusted by the situation, the old man makes clear the enormous contempt he feels for his former colleague. In a tone of false sadness, the lord returns the accusation, calling the old man the true traitor to the order. To reminisce about the past, the villain comments that they were magic classmates for over 30 years. Clenching his fist tightly, the old man confesses that his biggest mistake was trusting that jerk too much. Years and years of studying and working together as great partners, only to end with a stab in the back. Apparently, the partnership lasted right up until 2 weeks ago, when Malik's betrayal destroyed everything. In an attempt to flip the story, the Lord accuses Klaus of selling illegal stones and using a boy to steal the grimoire. Posing as a bringer of justice, the fake leader of the Masters claims he could never let this crime go unpunished. With a dry laugh, the old man calls the rich guy a shameless hypocrite to his face. In utter mockery, the villain says the old fool's stupidity cost his own grandson's life. With no strength to counter the heavy provocation, the man falls to his knees on the cold floor, completely broken inside. Despite humiliating his rival, Malik admits that Klaus was always an unprecedented genius of magic. Capable of freely controlling more than 10 types of ancient magic, he was respected as the conductor of miracles. All of this was always thanks to his perfect mastery of that mysterious, shining grimoire. However, without the book in his hands, the master became just a weak and pathetic old man in the traitor's eyes. Completely consumed by hatred, the old man screams, telling him to get his filthy hands off his relic. Finding the threat amusing, the fancy man mocks the fact that the prisoner still calls the book his. Frustrated with his own incompetence, Malik confesses that he stole the relic thinking he would gain immense powers. Despite trying every which way, the scoundrel never even came close to the old man's absurd level of magic. Annoyed with his failure, the noble throws the book and the gem on the floor, calling it all useless junk. Instantly, our MC's eyes lock onto the fallen objects, paying close attention. Both the grimoire and the small stone exude a beautiful magic, scattering brilliant sparks across the dirty floor. Mesmerized by the scene, the boy feels a bizarre energy roar inside his chest, begging to be let out. Clutching his shirt over his heart, he clearly feels that the magical items are calling out to him, as if a mysterious force were pulling his soul straight to the stars of pure arcane power. To completely snap out of the trance, our boy returns his attention to the fight between the older mages. In his failed conclusion, Malik finally understands that raw power doesn't come just from magical tools. Up close, the villain focuses on Klaus's eyes, full of ancient wisdom, with great malice. In a threatening tone, the jerk demands to know how the heck the old man can see the real power of the gems. Without wasting time, the henchman cowardly grabbed the bearded man by the arms. Intending to help his new friend, our MC advances toward the brutes without fear. In a super fast reflex, one of the guards lands an elbow in the kid's stomach, throwing him back. Soon, two henchmen pin the boy to the floor as he struggles uselessly. Even defeated, old Klaus warns that even if he explained, the Lord would never be able to see true magic. Faced with this hard truth, Malik's face darkens with a purely deadly hatred. Mercilessly, the prisoner throws it in his face that the rival's eyes are rotten and blinded by greed. Grumbling, the villain restrains the urge to kill Klaus right there, his teeth clenched. Completely out of patience, Malik pulls the old man's hair, calling his ex-partner an arrogant hypocrite. With the old man's head pulled back, the prisoner is completely vulnerable to the coward's attacks. To make matters worse, the scoundrel guarantees he'll use the master as a guinea pig until the last day of his life. His only goal now is to steal the great mystical secret hidden in those eyes. Blinded by envy, the Lord promises to rip that power out of him one way or another, no matter the cost. Completely satisfied with the humiliation, the big shot turns his back and decides to leave the dark workshop. At that exact moment, a henchman pulls a lit candle from the wall, preparing to torture the old man. Threatening the old man, a henchman raises the lit candle, swearing absolute loyalty to his boss. In a burst of fury, our boy breaks free from his restraints in the blink of an eye and charges. Fire explodes in the air as the cowardly guard tries to burn the defenseless prisoner. Completely in shock, Klaus screams, asking what that traitor's crazy plan is. Without hesitation, the villain throws the grimoire into the flames, stating that if the tool brings no power, then it's useless junk. With a sadistic smile, the rich guy guarantees his old rival will never even think of escaping from there again. Desperate at the scene, the old man struggles, screaming for the coward to stop his idiotic madness. Straight into the fire, the magic book and the primordial stone fall, scattering sparks everywhere. Without a second thought, our MC dives headfirst into the flames to save the relics. Caught completely by surprise, the fancy man lets out a startled scream, not understanding the suicidal act. Groaning in pain, the boy bravely endures the infernal heat burning his skin and clothes. Reflecting the violent fire, the child's eyes shine intensely, his pupils dilated with pure power. Clutching the stone and the grimoire to his chest, he takes a deep breath in the midst of that burning hell. Slowly raising his body, he murmurs about the beauties of the magic stones with a purely insane obsession. Soon, a storm of flames begins to spin furiously around our boy, creating a natural shield. Drawing his weapon, one of the guards advances, telling the kid to stay out of adult business. Before the attack can land, a brutal blast of fire repels the blow and throws the brute back, burning. Shocked by the turnaround, the villain Malik's eyes widen in complete disbelief at the scene. With a cold and deadly look, our boy warns absolutely everyone not to get in his way. Fallen on the stone, the henchman rolls desperately, trying to put out the flames on his own clothes in a total panic. At that exact moment, the kid realizes the chaotic energy of the fire is responding perfectly to his instincts. Just an insane, silent smile escapes the boy's face in the middle of the heat storm. Raising his right hand, he trembles with excitement seeing the bright sparks dancing obediently between his fingers. Walking out of the fire with the posture of a boss, the kid advances, stating with certainty that he can manipulate it all. Totally perplexed, Old Klaus asks in tears if the kid is really awakening primordial magic. Enveloped in a surreal fiery aura, our MC wonders confusedly if this is the so-called true power. Suddenly, an absurdly strong heat takes over the boy's entire body, burning from the inside out. Every inch of the scene begins to flash intensely, revealing the currents of pure mystical energy flowing. Boiling with adrenaline, the boy feels in his chest that he's capable of doing absolutely anything now. Foaming with rage upon seeing the awakening, the treacherous noble shouts that witnessing this is an impossible mistake. Questioning his own sanity, the villain refuses to accept that a mere slave has become a grimoire master. Immediately, the big shot points a finger at the henchman, demanding they rip the book from the boy's hands. Stuttering in pure terror, the soldier salutes and prepares to attack the little fire monster. Tired of waiting, Malik conjures spells from his own magic book to resolve this little setback by force. Pages of the artifact glow violently, accumulating a colossal aquatic magic in the hands of the false lord. Focused on destroying everything, he decrees that the only objective now is to prevent the original book from returning to the old man. Cursing the boy as filthy trash, the rich guy fires a torrent of powerful magic straight at the fragile target. Thick, turbulent water flies across the dark workshop at the speed of a deadly cannonball. Surprised by the assault, the boy lowers his head, hugging the rescued grimoire against his scarred chest. Chanting the ultimate ability of the raging deluge, the villain conjures practically a tsunami inside the prison. Just at the moment of the crushing impact, the violent magic threatens to swallow the kid and extinguish the flames at once. Instinctively, our MC raises his free hand and diverts the flow of the enemy water with frightening fluidity. Not believing the perfect and absurd defense, the fancy noble lets out a scream of confusion and hatred. A gigantic impact of steam echoes, breaking the workshop walls in the exact millisecond the elements collide. Noticing his own surreal talent, the boy murmurs, fascinated by the intensity of the energy rushing through his blood. With his adrenaline pumping, he shouts excitedly about being able to move the entire storm just by using willpower. Trembling from head to toe, the Lord wonders how a newly awakened kid has absolute control of the runes. Without losing rhythm, our street kid launches a giant flaming ball straight at the face of the suited enemy. Dashing through the smoke, the kid advances, holding the grimoire with his own life as he flees from the guards. In that moment of clarity, the villain realizes that those special eyes see the jeers of primordial magic perfectly. Full of envy, Malik understands the true level of monstrous affinity this child has with the ancient art. Pure magic shines intensely on the pages of Klaus's book, finding a harmonious resonance in the new, fearless master. To the traitor's absolute despair, that tattered prisoner might just be the greatest magical genius of the last century. However, driven by his wounded pride, the rich guy decides to attack brutally, judging the kid as just a newbie with no experience. With massive power focused in his hands, the enemy dictates the rules, showing that the difference in raw level is still gigantic. Suddenly surrounded by piercing jets of water, our protagonist realizes that the escape route has just been closed off. Desperate about the apprentice's imminent demise, the wise old man screams, warning about the fatal attack from behind. In a last effort amidst the confusion, the kid stretches out his dirty hand, trying to launch the book in the right direction. Focused purely on his gratitude, he murmurs that he needs to save that sacred manual and return it to its true owner. In a merciless and cowardly blow, the water magic hits the boy's fragile body, throwing him violently to the ground. At the same moment, the scoundrel announces that he won't let the plan work, immediately raising a colossal aquatic whirlwind. With a wicked smile on his face, the Lord concentrates enough energy for the final mercy blow. In a move of pure rage and stubbornness, the injured boy throws the book with all his might toward the old man. Passing dangerously through the clash of flames and water, the grimoire flies like a missile, illuminating the air. Arms full of scars from hard labor stretch out desperately to grab the last drop of hope there. At the very instant the kid takes the full hit, the old man finally closes his hands around the relic. Along with the ancient book, the small primordial purple stone magically lands on Klaus's tired and wrinkled fingers. Quickly, the old master absorbs the item's core, feeling the mystical connection flow instantly through all his veins. From the gloomy darkness of the prison emerges an absurd white flash, temporarily blinding all the soldiers around. Thrown violently against the stone pillar, our MC falls, all broken up after the brutal impact of the torrent. Lying in the cold dirt, the boy watches the battle unfold, his vision already becoming completely blurry. Coated in a majestic, flaming aura, the old man announces with a grim voice that Malik's tyranny ends right there. Breaking into a cold sweat and losing his composure, the fancy man freezes as he feels the pressure of that divine power coming back to life. With a look of pure contempt and pent-up hatred, Klaus scoffs, asking if the coward really thought he would come out victorious from this. Behind the rusty bars, the other slaves watch the miracle of the true grimoire master, completely jaw-dropped. From the dark corridor, Malik reveals 3 bald children covered in bizarre scars, stating he brought the test subjects. In total shock, Old Klaus realizes they are the kidnapped children and questions the traitor's sick plan. Attentive to the scene, our kid notices black stones embedded directly into the small hostages' injured shoulders. With a wicked smile, the villain points to his own macabre creations, showing he implanted the gems in their skin. Totally cynical, he confesses he manufactured these abominations specifically to defeat the old master for good. All this using a type of very special and forbidden stone by the Magic Council. Before the old man can process the horror, the guards are already tying the 3 children to the walls with thick chains. Defenseless and scared, the little ones cry as the cold steel cruelly binds their wrists. Satisfied with his own cruelty, the false lord pushes Klaus back into the cage and slams the gate in his face. Trapped again, the 2 heroes watch as the henchmen finish the sadistic preparations for that bizarre experiment. Seething with disgust, the old man accuses Malik of sinking to the lowest possible level, performing human experimentation on children. Without a shred of remorse, the big shot remains calm amidst the smoke, listening to the threats. Confused by the new term, our MC repeats the word, experimentation, not understanding the degree of evil there. With the utmost nerve, the Lord justifies that as a grimoire master, the only thing that matters is seeking more power. Completely off his rocker, the enemy claims that these street rats were going to starve to death sooner or later anyway. At least now, at the end of their lives, these kids are serving to help the big shot's great magical research. Completely insane, the fancy man screams that the test subject should feel honored by this end. Screaming at the top of his lungs, Old Klaus loses control and tries to lunge at his ex-colleague with murderous hatred. However, before the attack, the chains tied to the children begin to pulse and explode with a dark and violent energy. A dome of black flames appears out of nowhere, pushing everyone back in a colossal magical impact. Protecting his face from the corrupted fire, our kid murmurs, impressed by the weight of that dark power. Trapped in the middle of the chaotic hurricane, the old man groans in pain, trying to resist the gravitational force of the black storm. Breaking into a cold sweat, Klaus tries to use his own grimoire to nullify the fury of the gems embedded in the hostages. Happy with the result, the villain celebrates that his dream of crushing the original master has finally become an absolute reality. Taking advantage of his rival's weakness, Malik swears he will grind both the old man and the insolent kid to dust without mercy. He promises to crush the pair until not a single drop of blood or sliver of bone is left to tell the tale. Surprised by the false noble's madness, our protagonist watches the scene, paralyzed by terror and the flash of fire. Quickly, the boy's instinct takes over, and he focuses all his vision on the magical runes of the purple stone in his hand. Without blinking, the kid promises himself he will reproduce that flame spell again and turn the tables. Summoning his insane concentration, he tries to recall the exact sensation of magic flowing through his veins. Soon, the kid sees with perfect clarity the mystical patterns glowing and dancing inside the rare stone's core. Squeezing the gem with all his might, the street boy vows he won't spend his entire life as a lab rat in this dump. With a confident smile forming on his face, he announces that his destiny is already set far from here. Releasing a deadly spark of reddish energy, he declares he's getting out of this prison, no matter the cost. The word freedom echoes in the boy's mind, activating a frightening power trigger right in his eyes. Thirsty for adventure, the MC yells that his dream is to travel and see all the magic stones on the entire planet. Busy laughing at his own threats, Malik doesn't even notice the mountain of purple power concentrating at the back of the workshop. Shaken by the shock, Old Klaus slowly turns his head to check where that suffocating energy is coming from. Out of nowhere, a tornado of black and purple fire begins to spiral in the air, lifting the stones from the ground around the boy. Focused only on destroying the threat in front of him, the kid lifts his head with the look of a relentless predator. Threatening the cursed lord, the apprentice states he will set fire to every inch of that hellhole, and to him as well. Totally consumed by raw magic, the kid promises to burn absolutely everything until it turns to dirty ashes. Completely immersed in a storm of chaotic energy, the boy's body becomes the epicenter of destruction in the place. Witnessing the rebirth of a monster, the henchmen flee in terror, bumping into each other in pure desperation. Shocked by the raw level of power, the villain stutters, not understanding how he drew that ancient magic from a stone without using the grimoire. Seething with rage and fear, Malik digs his nails into his own book, trying to find a logical explanation for the impossible. In an absolute trance, the boy just repeats the word burn, in a dark voice that sends a chill down everyone's spine. With the stone glowing to its limit, he commands the flames to incinerate his enemies to break the chains of slavery. Astounded by the boy's recklessness, the old man murmurs in fear, seeing him force the gem into a state of total madness. Without losing a second, the villain perceives the real danger and prepares to retaliate at all costs. Inserting his own black stone into his personal grimoire, the rich guy activates the artifact's aggressive mode. Calling the kid a filthy slave, he launches a devastating assault, intending to kill the kid on the first try. Dense, heavy magic whips across the floor in the form of dark spikes, tearing through the stones toward the target. Caught off guard by the swift attack, the boy jumps to the side on reflex, narrowly dodging the fatal blow. A monstrous explosion destroys the wall right where the kid was standing, leaving a smoking black hole. Annoyed by the trash kid's agility, the scoundrel curses under his breath and prepares for the second round of sadistic magic. Running desperately to escape the crossfire, our MC flees from the magic spikes sprouting from the ground nonstop. With quick movements, he slides through the rubble, calculating each step to avoid being impaled alive. With magic dripping from his tattered clothes, he faces the big shot, determined to end this party. In the back, near the bars, the cowardly guards retreat, blocking the only possible exit from the flaming workshop. Furious with his soldiers' incompetence, the noble screams, telling the bunch of idiots to stop watching the show. Shaking in his boots, the captain stutters a wise sir and draws his swords, hurrying the entire troop. Silently, our boy realizes the trap has closed and the encirclement is getting seriously dangerous. Quickly assessing the risk, he concludes that if the armed guards corner him in a tight space, the situation will become a living nightmare. Immediately, the kid's mind focuses on rescuing the other victims, knowing he needs to get everyone out of there fast. Looking over his shoulder, he shouts for Old Klaus, asking for his attention amidst the widespread confusion. Launching flames toward his comrade, the boy points and warns the old man to watch out for the attack at his back. Caught off guard, the old man's eyes widen in astonishment when he realizes the setup happening right behind the pillar. The master turns his head and comes face to face with three henchmen quietly running, with their blades pointed at the back of his neck. But before the scum can touch the prisoner, a colossal jet of fire from our kid intercepts them all in their path. The aggressive magic engulfs the guards in an absurd torrent of heat, instantly breaking their cowardly formation. Screaming in pure agony, the soldiers fall to the ground, frying alive inside their own leather and metal uniforms. Biting his lip in pure hatred, Malik just clicks his tongue, frustrated with the failure of his cheap strategy. In the blink of an eye, our hero charges forward with his feet loaded with magic, breaking the iron chains on the floor. Facing the villain with a brutal thirst for destruction, the street kid shows he won't give him a second of peace. Offering his hand to his companions, Old Klaus tells the children to get up, warning that they can still escape. Pulling the little ones close, he uses his magic to create a fire shield to guide everyone out. On the other side of the chaos, the Lord channels dark magic to defend himself from the massive counterattack. Glancing over his shoulder, Malik notices the street kid's lethal advance and tries to cook up a defense. Furious, our MC concentrates the reddish fire at his fingertips, preparing a monstrous punch. Covered in sweat and soot, he gives an insane smile, confident that the charged punch will solve everything. From high above, the magic forms a pillar of destruction, mixing purple and red flames in an unstoppable whirlwind. Desperate at the vision of pure power, the villain stutters to himself, saying that this strength can't be real. To try and save himself, the coward hastily conjures a green defensive barrier in front of his body. A raw impact follows immediately as the boy's magic shatters the defensive shield as if it were glass. Stunned by the brutal shock, Malik is thrown back, groaning in pain with his arms burning from residual magic. With a clenched jaw, the rich guy takes a flaming punch straight to the face, disfiguring his own disgusting expression. The explosion from the blow sends the scoundrel into the rubble, breaking the noble and arrogant posture he had. Breathing heavily, our boy lowers his arms, satisfied as he watches the dust settle in the destroyed workshop. Kneeling on the stone floor, the false master weeps, claiming all his plans have gone down the drain. Seething with resentment, the Lord concentrates a deadly spark of that same cursed energy at his fingertips. With a wide, bloodshot eye, he screams that this human trash ruined everything and now he's going to pay. Completely by surprise, a macabre portal begins to spin behind the boy, sucking in all the surrounding magic. The black hole gains strength and mercilessly pulls our hero in, swallowing his body like a mystical vacuum. Watching the scene with a macabre smile, Malik is satisfied with the cruel fate he arranged for his enemy. Suddenly, the dimensional magic begins to crack all over, making a sharp sound like glass cracking under pressure. Caught by surprise, the rich guy takes a step back when he sees the dark sphere implode right in front of him. Emerging from the portal like a true demon of flames, the kid just murmurs for him not to get in his way. Faced with this infernal vision, the villain despairs, screaming in terror at the child's brutal strength. In a fraction of a second, the kid charges, breaking the last of the resistance, and throwing the coward to the ground for good. Watching it all from afar, the old master admits with a smile that he knew of the kid's potential, but didn't imagine this much power. Completely shocked by the scene, Klaus can't believe the boy defeated a lord right after his own magical awakening. Without letting his guard down, our boy wipes his mouth and asks the master if he can punish that bad guy properly now. Moved by the apprentice's loyalty, the old man nods his head, immediately agreeing with the idea. Pressing the small green magic stone onto an arcane circle, he begins the rescue spell. A bright green portal forms in the old man's hands, creating the perfect passage to escape the dark workshop. Focused on the plan, the old man proposes dragging the unconscious traitor to the surface and handing the jerk over to justice up there. Clenching his fist tightly, the little purple stone absorbs the chaotic flames back, ending the terrifying spell. Exhausted by the intense fight, our boy stumbles, feeling the weight of that magical load taking its toll on his fragile body. Quickly, Klaus grabs the boy by the shoulders, telling him to stay close during their exit from the tunnel. Guiding the apprentice through the destroyed corridor, the bearded master declares that it's finally time to leave. One step after another, the two walk up the dark stairs, leaving the hell of flames behind. Reaching the last door, sunlight leaks through the cracks, welcoming the prisoners at the exit of the underground captivity. Dazzled by the view outside, the kid raises his arm to shield his eyes from the strong glare. After so much time living in darkness, he breathes the fresh air, murmuring the word street, with a silent emotion. Celebrating their victory, the pair advances to the outer courtyard, and the old man thanks the heavens for the success of their risky escape. Without wasting time, our kid tugs on Klaus's shirt and asks directly about the whereabouts of those valuable stones. Before the master can answer, a group of guards points at the boy from a distance, shouting that he's the culprit. Completely deluded, the guards accuse the dirty slave of setting fire to the entire mansion of the poor lord. In an abrupt time skip, our MC now appears kneeling and chained inside the royal court, facing judgment. With a dry bang of the gavel on the table, the judge ends the courtroom whispers, demanding full attention for the day's case. Explaining the charges, the authority points out that the prisoner set fire to the property of the respected mage, Lord Malik. Without a second thought, the magistrate dictates the sentence, declaring a public execution for the criminal. Claiming the boy is a simple slave, he dismisses any questioning and orders the guards to end his life quickly. On the other side of the room, the noble audience curses the kid, demanding they kill that trash to clean up society once and for all. Dragged by his arms, the boy just swallows his anger, seeing hypocrisy take over the entire disgusting courtroom. Trying to break free from the heavy chains, he begins to mutter, outraged by the swift and totally unjust sentence. But before the doors close, an imposing voice echoes through the wide hall, shouting that there is a formal objection. With a colossal presence and fancy clothes, Master Klaus appears at the main entrance, challenging the judge's decision head-on. Surprised by his friend's action, the chained boy's eyes widen as he sees the old man looking impeccable and dressed like a true lord. Whispers run through the audience, with everyone startled, immediately recognizing the legendary conductor of miracles in their midst. Facing the court, the old man states that sentencing the defendant without seeking the truth, just because he's a slave, is hasty at best. In a gesture of pure class, he adjusts his glasses and turns his face directly to the king, expecting sensible moral support from the crown. From his throne, the monarch observes the scene, intrigued, as the bearded master walks imposingly to the center of the hall. With a slight smile, the king breaks the silence, commenting that it's been a long time since his last official meeting with Klaus. Maintaining his majestic posture, the sovereign reinforces that even with the Lord's presence, the prisoner's sentence remains more than fair. Hearing the monarch's unwavering condemnation, our boy's face falls, disappointed with the law of the rich. To shut everyone up, the wise old man announces in a loud, clear voice that this slave is his one and only official disciple. Caught completely off guard, the king stutters, his eyes widening, and questions if he heard the word, disciple, correctly from the Lord's mouth. Desperate, the judge bangs the gavel several times, shouting in an attempt to confirm if a simple slave has awakened as a real mage. Ignoring the room's hysteria, the old man extends his arm, handing a magic book along with a shiny little stone to the shackled boy. The touch of the ancestral relic in the boy's hands awakens a light spark of energy in contact with the heavy chain. Catching the cue, the apprentice gives a dark smile, mentally agreeing with the strategy devised by the clever old man. Without needing many words, Master Klaus just remains calm, exuding an unshakable confidence in his own ideas. Confirming the plan in his own head, the boy swallows his pride and focuses on his very well-defined objective. With the tools in the palm of his hand, he squeezes the green stone, signaling to his partner that the situation is 100% under control. Mentally, the kid realizes that to make this whole band of noble hypocrites pay attention to his words, he first needs to tear off the useless slave label and prove the real value of his own magical strength right there in front of the king. Lifting his chin, he promises he will reveal who the true villain of the whole story is in a frightening blink of an eye. And in a snap, the locks on the rusty chains begin to break, freeing the bruised fists of our young master once and for all. With the entire court's attention focused on him, our boy rubs his marked wrists and takes control of the situation. Picking up on the cue, the king raises his hand and agrees that if the kid is truly a master, he deserves to be heard. On the other side of the room, the rich audience grumbles, not believing a mere slave could have so much power in his hands. Totally incredulous, the bigwigs debate how it's impossible for some random trash to get a grimoire out of nowhere. Whispering among themselves, they justify that authentic mages are rarities that appear once every few decades. But shutting everyone up, a torrent of blue magic begins to spiral around our kid. The mystical flash invades the seats, illuminating the frightened faces of every noble present at the trial. From the throne, the monarch observes the scene, intrigued, realizing that the kid's strength is purely genuine. Showing impeccable control, the kid channels the water around him, giving the crowd a mocking smile. In shock, the crowd screams desperately, claiming that something is very wrong happening right in front of them. Seeing the power with their own eyes, the fancy folks refuse to accept that a slave was born with the magical gift. Full of attitude, the boy faces the crowd, commenting that the rich people in that room really never stop talking. Without giving them time to respond, he demands in a grim tone that everyone there shut up immediately. To reinforce the threat, he launches jets of water over the audience's heads, cooling the tempers of the more hot-headed ones. Completely terrified, one of the rich men shrinks back in his chair as the whip of magic grazes his luxurious hat. Lecturing them, our kid points out that everyone present their lives and breathes rules about blood purity. Tapping the grimoire's cover, he ironically asks if being born into a rich family makes someone so superior. Staring at the crowd with pure contempt, he demands a direct answer, stating that nobles think they can kill whoever they want and get away with it. Hit by the truth thrown in his face, one of the gentlemen in a hat swallows hard, completely speechless. Stuttering with fear, the big shot tries to justify himself, saying they would never harm anyone innocent without reason. Mocking the answer, the kid warns that what was done in the underground prison cannot be forgiven under any circumstances. In a threatening whisper, he decrees that if justice isn't served, he'll do the dirty work himself with his own hands. Turning his focus back to the old man, the boy confirms that old Klaus knows the real criminal's name by heart. Breaking the silence for good, the master accuses Malik of attempted murder in public, in a deafening tone. Totally panicked, the judge of the session grips his gavel, sweating profusely, realizing the tables have turned against the nobility. With a firm voice, Klaus details that the traitor used orphan children as test subjects in sick experiments in his own basement. Caught by surprise by the scale of the scandal, the king calls the old man's name, asking him to confirm every word spoken. Maintaining his unshakable posture, the master swears on his own life that everything exposed there is the absolute truth. To prove his apprentice's innocence, he guarantees that the boy was the hero who saved everyone's lives in the burning prison. Our MC closes his eyes, swallowing his fury as he remembers the children tortured with gems stuck directly in their flesh. Certain of what he saw, he states that the test subjects couldn't have disappeared so quickly and are surely hidden around there. Stomping his foot on the ground, the boy declares that if, after all this evidence, justice decides to off him just for being a slave, baring his teeth, he promises to fight with everything he has, wipe that nation off the map, and leave alone. Shaking in their boots, the audience realizes the scale of the threat and the brutal force concentrated in the boy's small hand. Hearing the deathly silence of the hall, the king adjusts his posture, weighing every piece of evidence thrown in his lap in a matter of minutes. To put the nail in the coffin, Klaus asks the monarch directly if he's going to let a rare grimoire master leave the country upset. The weight of this question echoes throughout the entire structure of the courthouse, making the air pressure in the royal hall increase absurdly. Faced with irrefutable facts, the sovereign decrees without hesitation that he will not lose such a talent under any circumstances. Banging the final gavel, the king adjourns the hearing and orders a complete investigation of the traitor Malik's lands. With the mess resolved, the master and apprentice turn their backs together, descending the courthouse staircase majestically. Walking in silence, the kid breathes a sigh of relief, internally thanking the old man for his moral support. From inside, the king whispers a final order to Klaus, demanding that he never lose sight of this prodigy again. Nodding in confirmation, the old man accepts the mission, aware of the rough diamond he now has in his hands. Out in the castle courtyard, our hero stretches his arms to the sky and shouts to the world that he is finally 100% free. Curious about the boy's look, the master comments that the new court clothes make the kid look like a different person. Not paying much attention to fashion, the old man is intrigued, questioning if the rumors of a powerful mage really fit that weird little squirt. Impatient with the interrogation, our MC cuts the topic short and demands to know about the promise regarding the location of the precious stones. Correcting the boy on the spot, Klaus demands to be called by his official title of master instead of grumpy old man. Ignoring the scolding, the kid puts his foot down, wanting to know what he needs to do to start the journey right that instant. With a heavy sigh, the master asks for calm, warning that a journey is not a rushed child's game. Genuinely concerned, the old man advises that all this haste is no help at all in controlling his own magic. Too stubborn to listen, our hero crosses his arms and decrees that he doesn't want to become a great mage, but a collector of rare gems. Hearing the absurdity, Klaus calls the boy by his real name Alan, to try and talk some sense into that head of his. Explaining the reality of the current map, the old man details that the world outside is overrun by hordes of cruel demons on the Western Front. With a grim seriousness in his eyes, the old man warns that walking alone in those lands isn't bravery, it's pure suicide. According to the continent's rules, any immature kid like him would become monster food before even leaving human lands. Pressured by the heavy warning, Alan clenches his fists, thinking about the dangers the road demands. Holding tightly to the master's sleeve, he makes it clear that the desire to see the relics still burns stronger. Shrugging, the boy blames the old man, saying it was he who introduced him to this vast and wonderful world full of mysteries. Realizing the apprentice's insane determination, old Klaus shakes his head, defeated by the youth's stubbornness before him. Agreeing with the goal, the master taps his own grimoire and says that precisely because of this danger, he must become an official mage. Disappointed with the bureaucratic answer, Alan's enthusiasm deflates, huffing quietly against the imposed rules. But Klaus continues the lesson, explaining that to travel in search of gems, the first necessary survival tool is knowledge. Knowing about the nature and rare classifications of each relic is the basic to avoid buying colored glass or activating something fatal. Once the brain masters the entire theory of ancient magic, one's view of the world changes in a completely spectacular way. Pointing to the horizon, the old man suggests that the famous magic tower would be the perfect base to fund and protect the kid during this crazy adventure. With the place's financial and strategic support, the kid could travel the whole world without worrying about money or deadly routes. Explaining further, the old man details that entering the tower guarantees him the freedom to live his life the way he always wanted, without being hunted again. Hearing the magic word, freedom, Alan raises his head, his eyes shining again with the new business opportunity. Focused on the promise, the kid's hands tingle with anxiety at the idea of being able to throw himself into the world of magic stones in peace. With an image of a crystalline paradise in his head, he finally understands that this winding path has a huge reward at the end of the line. Determined to follow the advice, he turns his back on the castle and accepts the proposal to enter the so-called magic tower without any fuss. With a mocking smile, the apprentice warns that if the training takes too long, he'll ditch everything and disappear off the map. Full of attitude, he adjusts the collar of his loose clothes, proving that he's the one in charge of his own destiny now. Satisfied with the boldness, Klaus lets out a little chuckle from under his beard and approves of the idea, already imagining the headache he's gotten himself into. Standing in front of the colossal structure, old Klaus gives an official welcome to the new grimoire master. A gigantic structure cuts through the night sky, showing the grandeur and power of that mage refuge. On the first day inside, the sun shines brightly, illuminating the central courtyard full of greenery and white walls. Dazzled by the place, the boy looks up, remembering that just the day before, his end seemed like the only possible way out. Explaining the rules, the master says that the magic tower serves as the country's #1 line of defense against demonic invasions. Besides stopping the monsters, the place functions as the largest research center for ancestral magic and mana stones on the continent. All accredited mages there are given assigned missions to solve or can focus on their own personal research in peace. With a small smile, our MC listens to everything, already imagining the collection of rare pebbles he's going to assemble. Pointing to a huge staircase, the old man says that the heart of the tower's operations is right up there in the Great Hall. Realizing he's going up alone, the kid stops walking and asks worriedly if the master isn't going to accompany him to the end. With a busy schedule of things to do, Klaus replies that he needs to take care of other matters and that the kid is free to fend for himself. Giving some fatherly advice, the old man smiles and tells the apprentice to do his best up there in the registration room. Climbing step by step, the boy realizes that the tower is much larger and more tiring on the inside than it looks on the outside. Panting and with his tongue hanging out, he grumbles quietly, complaining about the absurd size of that blasted staircase. After almost coughing up a lung, he reaches the final door and thanks the heavens for the end of the physical torture. Opening the double doors, the boy pokes his head in, checking if this is really the so-called Great Hall. Wiping the sweat from his forehead, he takes the first step into a chic and super well-lit environment. Immediately, his eyes widen as he sees the absurd level of magic and technology going on inside. Floating right in the middle of the ceiling, a grimoire of colossal proportions dominates the entire room, surrounded by golden gears. Functioning as the hall's core, the giant gears spin on their own, releasing sparks of pure arcane energy into the air. Just below, a bunch of apprentice mages handle files and organize documents, using magic to facilitate the heavy work. Enchanted by the architecture, the kid murmurs in admiration at the immense size of that floating book on the ceiling. In the back, some students analyze spells in pairs, completely focused on deciphering ancient grimoire inscriptions. Not quite understanding the dynamics of the place, the kid stands still in the middle of the hall, observing the frenetic comings and goings of the people. Out of nowhere, a blonde receptionist pops up in front of him and, all smiles, asks if he's the famous Mr. Allen. Startled by the surprise arrival, the kid takes a step back with his guard up, out of pure reflex. Noticing the tension, the woman explains that the master of the tower had already been notified about the new prodigy's arrival. Checking the final documentation, she stamps the papers and congratulates the kid on his completed official apprentice registration. Handing over a fancy tray, the attendant presents the identification equipment. He'll need to wear at all times there. Curious about the object, the kid holds up a blue magic stone and asks if it's what he thinks it is. Just by looking at it up close, Alan's eyes already analyze the entire magical structure of the gem, confirming its pure mana level. With a professional smile, the blonde explains that the light blue stone defines his current rank as a junior apprentice of the guild. Without losing focus on what matters, the kid cuts to the chase and wants to know if there are any missions available to take right away. Pointing to the colossal grimoire floating on the ceiling, the receptionist says he can look for missions directly in the memoria. This gigantic tool functions as a universal diary, storing absolutely all research records since the tower's foundation. Everything a mage does of importance in their life ends up being saved there to keep everyone's history clean and organized. Pressing her own blue gem on the luminous interface, the attendant shows the right way to access the magical mission system. In the blink of an eye, a floating panel opens in front of them, successfully scanning and authenticating apprentice Alan's data. Excited by the technology, the boy stretches out his hand, testing the virtual projection and thinking the novelty is awesome. To make life easier, the woman says the system also accepts voice commands to search for tasks faster. Without a second thought, the MC orders a search for missions, focusing only on what's important to get out of there quickly. A list of contracts glows on the screen, full of golden letters, showing the guild's urgent needs at the moment. Reading the general rules, the receptionist warns that apprentices are always required to work in pairs with more experienced mages. Glancing at the panel, one of the names on the mission list flashes brightly, immediately catching the kid's attention. Smiling, the blonde informs him that the master of the tower personally has already set aside and signed off on the first official mission for the newcomer. Pointing to the list, the boy ignores the master's recommendation and tries to choose an excavation mission in an ore vein. Startled by his audacity, the woman tries to grab his arm, reminding him that apprentices don't take on such dangerous missions on their first day. Before he can be stopped, the kid clicks on the panel and confirms his acceptance of the risky mission in a blink of an eye, way too fast. Desperate, the receptionist freaks out, warning that the excavation task involves heavy fighting and direct combat against brutal demons. Even with a strong supervisor in the mix, she screams that getting into this mess right off the bat is signing your own death warrant. Ignoring the scene, the kid just asks with the utmost calm who this supervisor Lucas guy in the description is. Satisfying his curiosity, she tells him that the guy is simply the only direct apprentice of Master Klaus, the legendary conductor of miracles. To make it even more absurd, she details that Lucas rose to the intermediate level in just 4 years, when it normally takes at least 10. Joining the gossip, other receptionists start sighing in the corners, confirming that the guy is a true, absolute genius of magic. For decades, the master of the tower had never agreed to train anyone personally until this prodigy kid showed up and broke the taboo. Completely swooning, the girls claim that being the apprentice of Klaus's apprentice is practically the highest honor one can have there. In the back of the room, the older, more experienced mages overhear the conversation and grumble, full of envy for the newcomer's luck. Maliciously, the gossiping clique comments on how unfair it is that the ex-slave newcomer gets the best partner in the tower on his very first day. Tired of the teenage chatter, Alan just scowls and thinks about how annoying it will be to put up with a perfect senior partner. Looking at the panel one more time, he memorizes the name Lucas and braces himself for the headache of working in a pair. Later, the boy enters a large, well-decorated room preparing to go head-to-head with the big-shot supervisor. Analyzing the luxurious doors of the hallway, he feels out of place and uncomfortable with the chick life of that snobbish place. Complaining to himself, the kid tosses the blue pebble up, calculating the annoying work it will be to split the mission's pay with someone else. With a confident smile, he decides to endure the situation just until he can rank up and hunt for his own gems alone. Rolling his eyes in boredom, he grumbles quietly, questioning how 3 days in that place feel like 3 years of pure dullness. Breaking the silence of the room, a thin, irritated voice shouts from the back, complaining about the disorganization of some scattered documents. Wearing a mask and white gloves, a boy with neat hair complains that there's no one to put things in their proper place. Picking up the papers from the floor, the rich kid huffs in annoyance, stating that it's dangerous to leave such important things scattered on the dirty floor. Out of nowhere, the neat freak lowers his head, confused, when he notices a pair of worn-out boots planted right in front of him on the floor. Looking up, the blonde kid asks with the utmost nonchalance who the person standing there, covered in slave scars, is. In an overly cheerful tone, the guy dusts off his clothes and concludes on his own that the tattered newcomer can only be the famous apprentice, Alan. With a radiant smile from behind his mask, he pulls down the cloth and introduces himself very politely as Senior Lucas Vallon. Staring at the weirdo in front of him, our MC doesn't even blink, just absorbing the prim and proper, annoying energy the guy freely exudes. With a veteran's posture, the blonde kid puts a hand on his hip and assumes the newcomer has already received direct orders from reception. Trying to break the ice, Lucas states that the boy must be shaking with nerves since it's his first mission and tells him to relax without fear. Handing over a document, the blonde kid tells the newcomer to ask anything if he has questions about the mission. Taking the paper, our boy thanks him curtly and says he's not nervous at all. Getting straight to the point, Lucas informs him that he decided to change the mission and hands the new itinerary to the MC to take a look. Curious about the change, the kid asks if the new task is in some southern forest. Showing the paperwork, the senior confirms that the forest mine is too dangerous a place for a first mission. Not wanting to know the details, the kid just asks bluntly what time they're leaving. Explaining the itinerary, the blonde says that by carriage, the trip there takes about 2 hours at most. Sealing the deal, the boy says they'll leave tomorrow morning and turns his back to leave. With a little smirk, Alan walks away decisively, already thinking about what a ride this adventure is going to be. Totally confused by the reaction, the senior partner stands frozen in the middle of the book-filled room, looking baffled. When the boy disappears down the hall, Lucas freaks out, grumbling that the slob got the whole floor dirty right after he'd finished cleaning. Rushing down the stairs, our kid tries to forget the bureaucracy, focusing only on the journey. With a little smile, he thinks that the senior seems to be a nice guy despite his stuck-up manner. In the office, Lucas kneels, defeated, collecting the scattered paperwork and complaining about the newcomer's mess. Sitting at the desk, the senior flips through the documents, evaluating the reference materials with a look of concern. Sitting on the windowsill, the boy reflects that he doesn't need to become best friends with the senior during this journey. Focused on his own goal, he decides to stop by the library and grab any useful book to study on the trip. Piling up ancient tomes of magic, the kid's intention is to devour all that theoretical knowledge quickly. A discreet smile escapes Alan's face as he imagines the secrets the pages must hide. Looking at the mission's final reward, he reads aloud the prize that grants participation in the Grimoire selection ceremony. Obsessed with the idea of having his own magic book, he swears to study nonstop to be able to start his journey around the world one day sooner. Staying up all night, he dives headfirst into the books under the faint moonlight. Suddenly, exhaustion hits, and the kid wakes up with a jolt, blinking his eyes and wiping drool from his mouth. Confused by the bright glare hitting his face, he shakes off the sleepiness, trying to figure out what time it is. On the other side of the room, the blonde kid's voice sounds gentle, getting his attention with a simple question. Seeing the situation, Senior Lucas just gets up from the table politely and asks if he slept well. With a startled look, our MC's eyes widen as he realizes he conked out in the middle of his research. On the table, a glowing magic stone draws all the attention in the room, emanating an incandescent golden energy. Sitting there with a tray full of gems, the senior apologizes, asking if the noise bothered the newcomer. With a tired but calm face, the senior partner tries to understand the weird reaction of the boy, who's hungry for knowledge. Stuttering slightly, the boy quickly denies it and gets up from his chair to play off the embarrassing moment. Not making a big deal of it, the senior turns his gaze back to the pinkish stone glowing delicately between his fingers. Mesmerized by the glow, the kid approaches and confesses with his mouth open how incredibly beautiful it is. Confirming the gem's rare beauty, the senior sighs in admiration and says he thought only Master Klaus could see these runes up close. In a more serious tone, he warns that in the tower, only the two of them can truly notice the ancient magic pulsing in the stone. Curious about the gem structure, the kid notices a silver detail circling the magic stone and becomes intrigued. Comparing the notes in the book, the blonde kid confirms that the frame around it indeed has a specific purpose. Not understanding the theory, Alan makes a doubtful face, waiting for the rest of his partner's explanation. Picking up another similar stone from the tray, Lucas places them side by side, stating that apparently, both are of the same type. In the blink of an eye, he shows that the frame's design is actually to differentiate an attribute gem from a derivative one. Reading the technical terms for the first time, the newcomer repeats the words attribute and derivative, trying to process the information. In a teacherly way, the senior defines that ancient magic stones possessing ancestral mana in its pure form are called gems. Showing the glow of one of them, he explains that the gem was processed into the exact shape, so mages can use it in practice. Turning the page of the book, the blonde kid details that these gems are divided into two fundamental types, based on the ancient magic imbued in them. As a practical example, the stone in his right hand with that golden, wing-shaped ornament stores magic for manipulating the four primordial elements. Following the mystical drawing on the scroll, Lucas explains that attribute gems are the most common for casting raw damage spells. As for derivative gems like the one with the leaf ornament, they cause weird utility effects like X, ray vision, or super hearing. Pointing to a complex diagram, the senior shows that the activation circuits carved into each type are different. The boy carefully observes the grooves drawn on the left for attribute gems, and on the right for derivative ones. Directing his focus to the open grimoire on the table, the blonde partner shows where each gem fits perfectly into the book's system. All of this functions as an energy circuit to channel the dormant magic of the stone and transform it into a powerful spell. Concluding his reasoning, he says that it is precisely for this practical reason that mages need to have their grimoires always at hand. Without a grimoire, it would be almost impossible for a human to use raw ancient magic in a controlled way without frying their body. Captivated by the explanation, the boy extends his hand, admiring the blank spaces of a grimoire waiting for the right gem. With a dark glint in his eyes, he instantly remembers the cruel threat he suffered at the hands of the treacherous Big Shot and clenches his fist. Noticing the change in mood, the senior warns in a very heavy tone that a grimoire is practically the mage's own life materialized. Echoing in his mind, Master Klaus's voice confirms this theory, reminding him how important it is to protect one's own book with tooth and nail. A violent memory of the old man fighting for the book comes to the surface, making the kid grit his teeth with pent-up rage. Trying to break the tension, Lucas explains that a perfectly calibrated grimoire with its owner can summon power far beyond normal. Excited about the topic, the blonde kid gets back to work while Alan remains silent, reflecting on the prize of the final mission. Questioning the books, the kid wonders if all this ease of use really changes depending on the quality of the exclusive grimoire. A fresh memory makes the kid laugh internally, remembering when the senior called him reckless for taking the excavation mission. Laughing to themselves in the silence of the room, they finish packing their materials and put everything away for the next day's departure. Full of hope, the newcomer concludes that above any teammate, his personal grimoire will be his most faithful travel partner. The next morning, the carriage rattles along the dirt roads, heading toward the famous southern forest without delay. Arriving at the entrance of the place, the boy jumps out of the transport, thanking the coachman and breathing in the fresh forest smell. Wiping his dirty boot, Lucas complains about the muddy ground from the rain, feeling his shoe stick to the soft earth. Standing at the edge of the road, they spot a cluster of houses, confirming that this is the village built for the mine workers. In a deathly silence, the two walk to the village entrance, noticing the absolute emptiness of the place, like a ghost town. With his guard up, the blonde kid's eyes widen, taking in every destroyed and silent corner of the main square. Looking for tracks, the boy asks if the mission's mine entrance is really far from there. Nodding, his partner says the entrance should be right at the end of the street, after the last houses. With a grim face, our MC quickly connects the dots, immediately understanding the scale of the problem they've gotten themselves into. If there are no workers walking around, it means something horrible invaded the place before they arrived. From atop the stones of a destroyed house, a gigantic mutant wolf with a gem embedded in its forehead snarls, drooling with hunger at the pair. Pulling out his magic stones, Lucas confirms that these beasts are the targets they need to kill and prepares for the clash. Without any fear, Alan confirms the mission and fixes his gaze on the stones embedded in the middle of the giant wolves' foreheads. From above, the horde of demonic beasts catches the scent of human flesh and leaps from the stones, ready for a total massacre. Recalling the briefing, the kid checks if the equipment loaned by the guild is indeed the fire and water gems. Leaving the crystals in the palm of his hand, he also remembers that the master set aside a special earth element gem for the newcomer to test. Analyzing the dry area, he notes that using fire would be the easiest way to fry everyone, but the entire forest could burn in the process. Drawing his grimoire, the blonde partner steps in front of the boy and swears he will protect the rookie from the imminent danger. Opening the golden book, the senior inserts a luminous little stone into one of the arcane circles, activating the circuit instantly. Letting his pride speak, the kid retorts that he can handle his own safety just fine. With a wicked smile, he faces the monsters with the same intensity and hunger that the creatures show them. Pressing his thumb directly on the earth gem, the grimoire's circuit flashes with an old gold hue, revealing the weight of the power there. Shining brighter than ever, the brand new book comes to life, spreading pure mana throughout our boy's entire arm. With a heavy thud, a ring of light appears out of nowhere, trapping the giant pack inside an invisible cage on the ground. Shocked by the speed, Lucas lowers his book, surprised to see the rookie already putting pressure on the beasts by himself. Watching the wolves slam their faces into the invisible wall, the kid grumbles that the power of that stone is too dense and raw. Even finding the magic hard to shape, he grits his teeth, trusting his instinct not to let the monsters pass under any circumstances. When one of the beasts jumps over the barrier, the MC raises his arm, blocking the creature's pounce in mid-air with yellow magic. With a sharp crack, the shield hits the wolf's chin, breaking teeth and splattering dark purple blood everywhere. With a snap of his fingers, he raises a cloud of sharp earth that acts like living sandpaper, tearing the skin of the surrounding creatures. Not believing the damage, the senior stutters, asking how he figured out the weak point of shattering the core stone right away. With a straight face, the boy gives a little smile and claims he spent the night reading the library books to be prepared for the fight. Relieved and impressed, the blonde laughs to himself and praises the kid's ability, saying he lives up to the title of Klaus's apprentice. Letting his guard down, the senior says he'll judge from the sidelines as the rookie sweeps up the trash in the square alone. Commanding the rhythm, the kid raises his arms and conjures hurricanes of piercing sand, grinding the beasts in the air in a shower of blood. One of the six-eyed monsters escapes the cyclone and leaps with its mouth open, straight for the blonde's jugular. Worried about his partner's carelessness, Alan whips around, shouting a warning about the fatal attack coming from his blind spot. Caught by surprise, Lucas ducks his head in a desperate reflex as the beast tears through the air above him. Cries of pain echo in the street as a guard appears, shouting, trying to hold back the wolf's jaws from a distance. Seeing the chance, the senior raises his arm in the blink of an eye and sends a wind gem spinning, easily slicing the beast in half. Without wasting time, our boy drops the book and runs, fuming, as the main chaos is still happening much further down the street. Grabbing the kid by the shirt, the senior partner blocks his advance and yells at him to never, ever leave his grimoire alone in the dirt. On reflex, the senior snatches the book from the dust before the wind gets it, and yanks the stubborn newcomer away from the danger. Chanting the spell, he shouts, activating the dancing winds, channeling a super strong hurricane straight from the silver gem. At the same moment, a colossal green spiral surrounds his partner, lifting him into the air to avoid the monster's pounces on the ground. The senior only has time to scream Alan's name as he watches the boy disappear, spinning in the middle of the invincible tornado. Landing on his feet a few meters away, the MC stabilizes himself on a thatched roof, getting a real look at the situation on the field. Down below, one of the giant wolves drags the body of a village guard, while a terrified girl tries to escape from another hungry beast. Ignoring the distance, the boy plants his legs on the thatch and invokes several runic symbols above the book's pages with utmost precision. A shower of sharp stakes sprouts from the ground in the blink of an eye, pinning the monster's paws to the dirt and kicking up thick sand. Right behind, Lucas lands and extends a hand to the injured soldier, asking if everyone there managed to survive without any fatal bites. Trembling and crying, the guard hugs the blonde's legs, weeping his thanks for the salvation that fell from the heavens at the last second. But the relief is short-lived as a growl 10 times more guttural and dark cuts through the square, drowning out the sound of the stones and wind. Desperate, the senior's eyes widen as he sees the alpha beast breaking Alan's magic stones and walking slowly, full of rage. Alert to the detail, the street kid focuses on the gem embedded in the beast's forehead, noticing a completely different color pulsing in the purple core. With an insane zoom, his trained eye sees a bizarre flow of shining gold dancing deep inside that corrupted energy crystal. Trying to confirm his suspicion, he murmurs quietly, questioning if these beasts only truly go down when that stone is obliterated. Without taking his focus off the beast, he describes the flow of golden energy, saying it looks exactly like the arcane gems from the guild. Blind to this reality, the senior squints but shakes his head in frustration, confirming he only sees a dirty, disgusting rock stuck there. Thinking quickly, the kid suspects that he might be the only one on the entire planet who can see this magical X-ray in things. A mocking little laugh escapes his lips, already realizing the utility this rare vision could have in his own life. Full of malice, he tells his partner that if he wants to see that core up close, they'll first have to take down the big monster cold-bloodedly. Facing the giant prey, the boy passes the responsibility and decides they'll need to lock down the wolf's movements by force before delivering the final blow. Confused by the mid-fight chatter, the blonde tries to figure out if the boy is bluffing or if he's really seeing something on the beast's furry forehead. Confirming everything with absolute certainty, the boy says the manhwa inside is weak but too real to be ignored at that moment. Looking at the kid's deadpan face, Lucas immediately thinks the boy's coldness indicates it's all true and trusts his beyond sight vision. Finalizing their strategy, the two exchange glances, confirming the suicidal plan to try and catch the alpha wolf alive for just a few more seconds. Directing their spells, the senior proposes to bind the creature in wind chains while Alan delivers the final, decisive trip up on the disoriented beast. Praising the idea, the newcomer says he'll help by trapping the beast from below, using the power of the earth to slice the unsuspecting beast's feet. With a war cry, Lucas unleashes the wind swarm, throwing the magic-like green air whips straight at the leaping, drooling beast. Catching the beast in mid-leap, the invisible pressure hits its side, crushing the creature while the blonde screams Alan's name to attack. Focusing on the physical sensation, the kid mentally imagines the dust molecules beneath the gigantic beast loosening in mid-air. Pressing his hands directly into the street mud, He visualizes the earth turning into a very fine powder, like flour, in a few milliseconds. A beam of yellow energy crackles around the trapped paw, dissolving the muddy ground into a dense, suffocating fog of dirt. Refining his control of the book, Alan tells himself to make even smaller grains in a mental effort that makes his face sweat slightly. Immediately, the energy currents grind the stones, pulverizing everything into an almost liquid dust that swallows the beast's ankle for good. With the trap set, he summons earth shields and throws them all at once like a jet of quicksand on the beast's trapped leg. In a perfect second strike, the kid changes the main gem and commands the air's humidity to slam into the floating sand. In an invincible waterfall, he throws a tsunami of water onto the magic dust, creating a super, heavy mystical mortar, mercilessly drowning the beast's foot. Satisfied with the liquid cement, he declares that it will harden instantly, sealing the monstrous paw for good inside the hole in the street. As the desperate wolf tries to pull its paw from the mud, the senior sees the divine opening and shoots toward the now stuck creature. The beast's muffled roar shakes the air as it realizes its leg has become a living anchor, rooted for good in the soggy soil of the main street. Without blinking, Lucas launches the wind blade, spinning an ultra-sharp, greenish flying disc aimed directly at the crazed beast's open and focused neck. Shooting to kill, the blonde maintains his impeccable posture, waiting for the blood to gush with the imminent decapitation that will follow the discs. With a bizarre dry sound, the air blade ricochets off the alpha's massive fur, striking invisible sparks but causing no severe scratches. Surprised by the tough hide, the boy and the senior stutter as the sharp magic loses all its force upon hitting that impenetrable, infernal skin. Frustrated with the beast's defense, our blonde partner realizes the foundation is too tough, and wind alone won't get the job done. Observing the scene, the MC notes that the blade was incredibly sharp and already starts to formulate a new plan in his head. With the red gem squeezed in his hands, the boy feels the heat of pure fire magic pulsing between his fingers. In his mind, the idea takes shape as he concludes that if the wind can't cut it alone, a little heat would be perfect. Without wasting time, the kid yells for the senior to launch that same wind attack one more time and gets an "Okay, right back." Promptly, Lucas spins his grimoire and conjures the torrent of the wind blade with full force. Keeping in mind that hard things need heat, our boy positions the fire gem directly on his book's magic circuit. An intense red aura explodes from the pages, revealing the raw, destructive power of the ancient flames. Focused on the mana flow, the street kid thinks about adding heat to his partner's wind, wondering if he can actually pull off the fusion. With his hand extended toward the greenish spell, he calculates the exact moment to launch his support magic. Totally in disbelief at the kid's audacity, the blonde's eyes widen, and he murmurs that it's impossible. Boiling with determination, Alan uses his special eye to perfectly mix the power of fire into the cutting flow of the air. Down below, the demonic beast barely has time to react as the combined magic gains more and more volume and pressure. Reflecting the flash in his own pupils, the senior hopes the spell charges just a little bit more before the final impact. With a full-throated scream, our MC finally unleashes the blast and commands the inferno upon the beast. To go along with the madness, the senior cracks a confident smile and supports the aggressive union of their attacks. Immediately, a colossal tornado of wind and fire forms in the air, tearing through everything in its path and swallowing the giant monster's head. Trapped in the middle of the scalding hurricane, the beast suffers as the brutal magic mercilessly fries its impenetrable skin. Thanks to the insane impact, the magic stone embedded in the creature's forehead finally comes loose and flies away. Devastating even the village's stone walls, the combined storm obliterates the mutant wolf, leaving a trail of destruction behind. As soon as he lands on the wooden sidewalk, the senior regains his posture, safe and sound after the chaos. Happy with the result, the blonde tries to celebrate the perfect cut, already calling out his rookie partner's name. But before he can finish his sentence, our MC flies past like a jet, yelling to get attention. Propelled by pure adrenaline, the boy crosses the sky in a desperate leap after his real prize. Hands outstretched against the sunlight, he aims perfectly at the shiny red gem plummeting from the clouds. With the little stone held securely as if it were the world's greatest treasure, the kid trembles with excitement, shouting that he finally got it. Stepping gently onto the earth, he continues to celebrate the mission's success, staring intently at his battle trophy. Sitting there on the ground, Lucas praises his partner's skill while the MC admiringly analyzes the famous demon core stone. In his head, the senior admits that in terms of raw talent, that kid is already operating at the level of an intermediate mage. Easy. After replaying the scene in his mind, the senior's jaw dropped by the boy's ease in synchronizing his own magic with someone else's spell so naturally. In the senior's view, that scarred street kid is nothing less than an absolute and absurdly terrifying prodigy. With a light sigh, the blonde smiles satisfied and concludes he's found himself a dangerously talented guildmate. Fascinated with the new gem, the kid examines every inch of the object as his partner approaches with slow steps. Full of excitement, the MC whips around and tells his friend to look at the golden light shining deep inside the dirty crystal. Crouched on the dirt floor, Lucas takes a closer look and comments that the energy inside is much weaker than a normal mana stone's. With the crystal in his own hand, the blonde squints and focuses his sight, trying to see the golden core the boy mentioned. Frustrated with his own lack of perception, he hands the item back, saying he can't see anything and promises to ask Master Klaus later. With his mind working a mile a minute, the senior suggests that if the stone really has ancient magic, they can extract it all and forge a heavy weapon. Cutting off the chat, the village guards come out of hiding, waving and desperately asking if the Grimoire Masters are alive. Back to his professional posture, Lucas announces that the demon has been slain and asks if any villagers were injured in the combat. Suddenly, our protagonist's face darkens, and he turns his head toward the forest with a super grim look. Focused on the trees on the horizon, he murmurs quietly, feeling a bizarre energy lingering in the calm environment. In his mind, a clear image of a dark and distorted cave appears as he gets the strong feeling that someone called his name. In total silence, the kid just stares at the mine entrance, trying to decipher that ghostly warning echoing in his head. Instinctively, he clutches his shirt over his chest as he feels his heart skip a beat. To snap his colleague out of the trance, the senior lightly touches his shoulder and calls Alan's name a little louder. Concerned for their safety, the blonde suggests checking the condition of their books and gems before entering the dark mine. Satisfied with the review plan, the two turn back and walk toward the center of the peaceful village under the afternoon sun. Before leaving for good, our boy takes one last glance over his shoulder, still intrigued by the whispering voice. At the local guild base, the atmosphere is one of pure relief, with the residents slowly returning to their routines after the terror. Inside, the little girl hugs her father, crying with happiness that he's okay, while our heroes watch the scene in silence. Sitting at the inn's table, the senior reviews the equipment and confirms that no grimoire or stone was damaged in the fight. With the case in his hands, he recalls that the tower's rule requires mages to personally inspect any mana vein to validate its excavation. Restless in his chair, our MC freaks out with anxiety, asking if the cave is clogged with giant stones ready to be pulled out. Unable to sit still, the kid jumps to his feet, grabbing his bags with the intention of immediately investigating that mystical feeling from before. Out of nowhere, a bearded old man runs into the hall and shouts at the top of his lungs, telling the pair to stop right there. In his position as community leader, the old man forbids entry into the cave, stating that they must never enter the so-called Lord Onuma again. Completely lost, the two warriors look at each other and question who this lord is that terrifies the village. Scared to death, the wrinkled man reveals that this mysterious being has lived in the depths since ancient times and acts as the supreme guardian of the forest. With a blank expression, Lucas just lets out a "sure I see," trying to process the mythical legend the old man just dropped in their laps. In an attempt to calm things down, the leader's son intervenes while the old man blames the demonic invasion on the new generation's lack of faith. Speaking out of the side of his mouth, the senior whispers to the rookie and asks how they're going to proceed now that the local population has blocked their advance. As the young man drags his frantic father outside by force, the blonde finds the perfect opportunity for them to slip out of the hall unnoticed. Through the back door, the pair moves stealthily along the dirt path, entering the dense forest with only a lit lantern. Based on the clues they gathered, the blonde partner bets that this Onuma character has a high chance of being a legendary phantom beast living in those caves. Like a professor, the senior explains that these mystical creatures break the rules and don't fit in as either normal animals or demonic monsters. Curious about the bizarre concept, the kid repeats the classification to be absolutely sure of what they're about to face down there. Then, Lucas drops the golden nugget of information, guaranteeing that these creatures' bodies are made entirely of mana stones, leaving the kid shocked. To explain the mythology, the senior tells him that the millennial beasts live freely using ancient magic, and many haven't even been mapped by the magic tower. According to the continent's maps, there are very few confirmed reports of these entities roaming the world today. Walking along the rocky walls of the tunnel, the blonde details that the colossal rarity of these beings makes entire villages worship them as gods. Thanks to the magic lantern, the senior gets a good look at the dark environment and admits he has no idea if they'll actually run into the creature there. With low expectations, he advises the kid not to get his hopes up, as finding an unrecorded legend is practically like winning the lottery. With a small smile, the senior partner recalls that they're talking about a deity, not just some random animal to hunt. Despite the grim warning, our boy remains focused on the trail as he hears that these gods often grant unique gifts to humans if they're in a good mood. To confirm the legend, the ancient book mentions that a winged deity used to give gifts to the mages it liked. But the blonde partner kills the mood warning that all of this is just a silly fairy tale from an old document. Intrigued by the idea, our boy gives a slight smile and quietly repeats the bit about this kind god. With his curiosity pick, the kid wonders what a creature made purely of magic stones would actually look like. Soon, the kid concludes that a being that ancient would surely know how to explain the true origin of mana in the world. At the same moment, he suspects that the mysterious voice from before belonged to the beast, as the senior announces their arrival at the destination. Faced with a surreal scene, the boy is completely paralyzed and open-mouthed. Mesmerized by the intense glow, he can barely pronounce the words as he sees the cave completely illuminated. Breaking the silence, the senior partner confirms that they've finally found the gigantic vein of precious stones. Fascinated by the spectacle of blue lights, the newcomer runs ahead without a second thought. Sliding his fingers over the icy surface, the kid feels the raw power crystallized in the stones on his skin. With his eyes reflecting all that magic, he confesses out loud that he's never seen anything so beautiful in his life. Behind him, the senior comments that the golden light makes the search much easier for those with the gift of arcane vision. Curiously, the senior recalls that normal people need to use heavy tools for mining and praises his partner's memory. Suddenly, a shiver runs up the boy's spine as an invisible resonance hits his mind full force. Stunned by the sudden energy, he closes his eyes, feeling an absurd pressure in his head. In a weak voice, the kid murmurs that the same weird calling just came back with a vengeance. In a careless stumble, the kid loses his balance and plummets from the cliff, making his colleagues scream in despair. With nothing to hold on to, our protagonist slides straight to the bottom of the cave's bluish abyss. A dull thud echoes through the tunnel as the boy finally lands deep within the ore vein. Groaning in pain, the boy rubs his head after the nasty fall on the sharp stones. But the pain vanishes the moment his pupils dilate, as he catches a different flash in the shadows. Before him, an infinite sea of luminescent crystals illuminates the icy bowels of the mountain. Totally in shock, he questions if that sea of glittering stones is made of nothing but pure mana. Lost in the subterranean vastness, the kid looks like an ant in the middle of that absurd magical reserve. Once again, the indescribable beauty of the place steals the boy's words as he admires everything, motionless. From above, the blonde screams worriedly and gets a shout back, confirming the newcomer survived the fall. Determined to explore more, the boy announces he'll look for a way out as he notices the blue tone darkening in the depths. A subtle movement breaks the calm of the place, causing the apprentice to freeze instantly. Suddenly, the stone structure begins to move, revealing a pair of colossal horns in the middle of the ice. Like a mountain coming to life, a gigantic whale made purely of crystals emerges from the cave floor. Impressed by its immense size, the kid wonders if that marvelous thing really has a life of its own. Invading the human's mind, the mystical creature lets out a sigh and comments on a familiar and nostalgic scent. Without making a sound with its mouth, the beast floats in the air, checking if the little intruder poses any danger. Calmly, the monster tells the boy to relax, as it's just a tired old being, while the MC realizes telepathy is happening. Analyzing the intense glow, the apprentice confirms that the creature's skin is forged from the very same stones of the environment. Connecting the dots of the legend, he musters the courage and asks outright if that giant being is the famous phantom beast. With millennial patience, the crystal whale confirms it has received that pompous title in a very distant era. Recalling the senior's words, the boy mentions the beast's fame as an untouchable god and questions if it was the one who shouted earlier. Revealing the mystery, the entity explains it was drawn by the boy's rare gaze, capable of seeing true magical essence. Up close, the protagonist's eye glows as the creature states that they see reality in the exact same way. Immersed in memories, the legend reports that humans with this ability disappeared from the map hundreds of years ago. Faced with this ancestral gossip, the kid blinks several times, surprised by the historical weight of his own vision. Summoning golden runes in the palm of his hand, the kid asks if the beast is talking about that shining energy right there. Amused by the boy's innocence, the crystal god lets out a heavy laugh that echoes throughout the blue cave. Correcting the boy, the beast explains that the glow is pure ancient magic and is shocked by his ignorance of his own power. With a gentle voice, the giant details that these eyes are meant to witness the power trapped in the wars since the beginning of time. Lamenting the lack of answers, the entity confesses it doesn't know the reason for this gift, but recalls an old friend's advice. In a deep whisper, the legend states that this rare vision is an exclusive gift for the children loved by the world itself. Completely confused by the poetic phrase, our protagonist repeats the words, trying to find some meaning in it all. Looking down, the street kid reflects on his suffering past, and this supposed divine protection. To push away the bad thoughts, he raises his hand and decides to touch the millennial beast's magical carapace. In a gentle contact, the apprentice's calloused fingers touch the scales made of pure mana directly. Quickly, the kid comments that the giant's texture is as cold as the stones on the tunnel wall. Describing the sensation, he compares the touch to a current of heavy, frozen water flowing in a very pleasant way. Enchanted by the calm of the moment, the kid confesses from the bottom of his heart that the beast is incredibly wonderful. Thanking the sincere compliment, the ancient guardian emits a friendly hum in the little mage's mind. Overjoyed, the legend says it will brag about the boy to the so-called 7 stellar kings, leaving the MC full of questions. Explaining the divine hierarchy, the beast reveals that these 7 kings are the oldest and most absurd creatures that sustain the entire world. In absolute shock, our hero's eyes widen as he discovers there are beings much more powerful than that giant god. Nostalgic, the crystal Leviathan murmurs that it's been an eternity since it last ran into one of those kings. Ending the gossip, the monster announces that age is taking its toll and chatting is tiring, getting a sheepish smile from the boy. Preparing to disappear into the darkness, the beast declares it's time to sleep, while the kid runs to ask about the legend's whereabouts. Thirsty for knowledge, the kid tries to get more answers about ancient magic, but is gently interrupted. Enveloping the apprentice in a magical aura, the guardian declares it feels a colossal love from the universe embracing that little human. With a grave voice, the entity guarantees that the boy will inevitably clash with the kings if he continues to follow his own gaze's intuition. Completing the prophecy, the beast swears that this path will lead him straight to the true source of all mystical power. Preferring to keep the secret, the beast tells the newcomer to get his own answers from the kings and asks him to hold out his hands. In an act of pure generosity, the millennial god conjures a heavy and complex blessing straight toward the kid. Confident in the boy's talent, the legend states that he will master that gift with ease, no major problems. From its own carapace, the giant rips off a scale forged with centuries of pure magic, leaving the kid speechless. Floating in the air, the blue gem falls into the protagonist's hands under the final blessing of the ancestral monster, wishing him good luck. Job done, the mystical whale dives into the stone floor and begins to disappear into the bluish vastness. As a final whisper, the entity challenges the little mage to find the legendary primordial stone at the end of his journey. Desperate to know more, our kid runs after the legend, shouting at the top of his lungs not to be left with so many questions. Blinded by the absurd glare, the MC wonders what the heck that primordial mana stone is. Fascinated by the blinding light, he can barely keep his eyes open in the face of so much power shining before him. Suddenly, Lucas's voice echoes through the cave, shouting the boy's name and breaking the trance instantly. Relieved to find his partner safe and sound, the blonde takes a deep breath and thanks the heavens for the rescue. With a quick turn, the kid immediately questions the whereabouts of that gigantic cave full of blue crystals. Totally perplexed, he tries to understand how that sea of stones vanished in the blink of an eye without a trace. Staring into the darkness, the boy murmurs that he can still feel the beast sleeping somewhere far away in that mine. Surprised by the suspicious glow in the rookie's hand, the senior points and asks what the heck that object is. A bit embarrassed, the kid holds up the blue gem and answers, guessing that maybe it's a blessing from the phantom beast. In total shock, the senior partner's eyes widen as he hears the crazy story about a divine scale given as a gift. Not understanding the gravity of the item, our boy looks blankly as the blonde processes the heavy information. Back at the main guild headquarters, the pair presents themselves directly in the research room of the tower's big shots. Seated at the table, Master Klaus analyzes the stones and repeats the mission story with a super serious expression. Confirming the absurd rarity of the items, the old man asks for the official report and gets a nice "haven't done it yet" from the senior. To avoid unnecessary bureaucracy, the master decides to personally report the part about the phantom beast and tells the boys to focus only on the basic parameters. To get the apprentice's attention, the sage reminds him that the blue gem was an exclusive gift focused only on him. As homework, the old man tells his boy to polish the divine scale and turn into a usable gem. Promising to get the right tools, the old man releases the demon wolf's core to serve as study material as well. Taking advantage of the waiting time, the master orders the kid to go report the mission and finally choose his grimoire in the library. Immediately, the MC's eyes light up with pure emotion just hearing the magic word, grimoire. In a hurry, he turns his back on the spot and dashes down the corridor without looking back. Grabbing the blonde's arm, the boy rushes his colleague, wanting to get to the selection as quickly as possible. Being dragged against his will, the senior partner grumbles, asking for calm in the middle of the fancy hall. Standing in front of a gigantic door, the kid takes a deep breath, anxious for the moment he's waited so long for. Focused on the objective, he swears to himself that he will leave there with the best magical weapon in his hands. Before the dark gate, the two little mages prepare to face the sanctuary of artifacts. A metallic click echoes in the air as the heavy chains release on their own, clearing the passage. Glimmers of light invade our hero's face, revealing the mystery kept on the other side. Colossal shelves filled with magic books leave the kid completely speechless and jaw dropped. Far away, in the reception area, the Memoria's bells begin to ring, drawing the attention of all the mages in the guild. Golden gears spin non-stop, announcing that a very rare event has just begun in the hall. Curious, the apprentices gather, whispering about who the lucky one will be this time in the Grimoire selection ceremony. Envious, the rich kids freak out seeing the ex-slave's face on the big screen, not understanding how he earned that right in just 2 days. In the center of the hall, everyone stops what they're doing to watch the live broadcast of the newcomer. Full of prejudice, the fancy folks bet that no worthy book will choose a dirty street kid like him. To discredit Klaus's legend, one of the gossipers claims that the story of the Golden Grimoire is just an exaggerated guild rumor. Observing the commotion from afar, a blonde girl sighs apprehensively at our MC's courage. Back at the gloomy gates, the two partners talk about the final preparations before the great, lethal test. Pointing to the illuminated corridor, the kid asks if that's really where the relics rest. In a professorial tone, Lucas explains that this is the sacred repository specifically for masterless books. Demanding full attention, the senior faces the newcomer to state the golden rule of the untouchable place. According to millennial tradition, the mage can never touch the shelves, as it is the grimoire that makes the choice. If he is worthy, the relic will fly to him on its own, but otherwise, the kid goes back empty-handed. Not understanding the punishment, the boy asks if failure means being without magic forever. Confirming the pressure of the test, his partner warns that the mission's reward was only to earn the right to try his luck. Completing the warning, he makes it clear that newcomers without experience or talent are summarily ignored by the ancient artifacts. Attentive to the explanation, the kid just absorbs the information with a purely focused and cold look. In case of refusal, the apprentice will have to grind through missions until he deserves another chance to step inside. Faced with the infinite shelves, the challenge seems overwhelming for such a small, newly arrived kid. Remembering one last detail, the senior pulls a weird object from his pocket and hands it to his friend at the door. Curious about the tool, the MC holds up the golden item and questions what the smooth metal eye is for. Suddenly, the little ball grows wings and flies on its own, almost giving the kid a heart attack from the close-up scare. Laughing at the surprise, the blonde says the guild uses this magic drone to broadcast everything and prevent cheating during the ceremony. Hovering in the air, the mystical camera is already sending their every step directly to the memoria's main screen for everyone to see. Still a bit scared of the flying thing, the kid grumbles, agreeing that the contraption is pretty creepy. Giving some moral support, the senior says he'll wait outside, rooting for his teammates' success. With a sincere smile on his face, the partner transmits the last dose of confidence needed for the mission. Wishing him good luck, he says goodbye and leaves the path completely clear for the rookie to prove his worth. Without showing fear, the boy steps firmly onto the glowing floor, crossing the threshold of the sacred archive. Alone in the gigantic corridor, he feels the heavy aura and absolute silence swallow the entire environment. Assessing the place, the boy realizes that despite the lack of noise, the entire atmosphere seems to vibrate strangely. Step by step, the condensed energy in the room gives the bizarre sensation that everything there is breathing like a giant living being. High up on a shelf, he notices a very subtle glow coming directly from the spine of a bound book. Solving the riddle, the kid deduces that ordinary texts don't emit light, so the glowing spots must be the real grimoires. Boiling with excitement, he cracks a confident little smile, ready to grab the attention of those precious weapons. Recalling the prohibition on touching the furniture, the MC wonders what the right tactic is to get noticed. Scratching his head, he tries to guess what kind of signal a book makes when it finally chooses its tamer. In a violent jolt, a shiver runs up his spine, revealing a bestial presence dangerously lurking behind him. Materializing out of nowhere, a gigantic spirit wolf leaps from within the shelves, blocking the entire corridor. Completely in shock, the boy stares at the mystical beast, trying to process if this is a security breach or a hidden test. Without giving an opening, the translucent creature advances, drooling pure magic with its jaws open, heading for the kid's jugular. On pure survival instinct, our hero throws himself to the side, dodging the fatal pounce by a matter of millimeters. Aware that the beast wants blood, he runs for his life through the narrow corridors to save himself. With a quick glance over his shoulder, the boy measures the distance as the insane chase shatters the archive's silence. Cornered in an alley of knowledge, the apprentice skids to a stop and turns to face the glowing wolf, which is already preparing the finishing blow. Surprised by the scene, the boy lets out a soft sigh, trying to understand what is happening on the shelf. Right in front of him, the spirit wolf raises its head with a purely majestic gaze. Awed by the sight, the kid just watches the beast of light in absolute silence. Calmly, the mystical creature sits next to a glowing book as if it were an ancient guardian. With the magic mark shining on its forehead, the beast stares at the newcomer intensely and mysteriously. Suddenly, an explosion of purple magic surrounds the boy's body with an absurd pressure, tearing the air. Startled by the sudden impact, he widens his eyes, feeling the weight of the power invade the room. Thrown back by the force of the light, the apprentice lets out a scream, completely losing his balance. In a nasty fall, he lands on his butt while the entire library continues to glow intensely. High above, the guild's magic drone films every detail of this madness, live and in color. Without warning, the purple grimoire radiates a colossal aura, leaving the audience outside completely jaw-dropped. In shock, the nobles swallow their envy, admitting that not even Master Klaus caused such an impact in his own test. In whispers, the mages confess in terror that they have never witnessed such a violent selection ceremony before. Intrigued by the phenomenon, one of the veterans suspects that the kid's bizarre affinity with ancient magic is the main cause of the absurdity. Right on the big screen, the image of the newcomer kneeling in front of his new book shuts up all the rich critics. After the scare, our protagonist raises his hand, somewhat hesitantly, toward the relic. Slowly, the magical artifact floats down from the shelves until it stops right within the boy's reach. Focused on the object's energy, he murmurs in relief that he can feel a deep mystical connection. Noticing the pulsation, the kid compares the mana flow to the heartbeat of a warm, living being. With a tight hug, he finally accepts his partner, proudly whispering that this is his definitive grimoire. Satisfied with the epic victory, he cracks a sincere smile under the strict surveillance of the spy drone. From his front row seat, Old Klaus smiles proudly, mentally admitting he underestimated that kid's monstrous talent. Back in the tower's main room, the pair approaches the master to deliver the good news from the test. Raising the artifact respectfully, the apprentice announces that he completed the mission with absolute success. Calm as always, the old man confirms he watched everything closely on the big screen's live broadcast. Throughout the luxurious hall, silence takes over as the sage analyzes the prize recently won by the kid. Running his hand over the worn cover, the old man praises the book's raw quality despite its rustic appearance. In an almost paternal tone, he returns the item and tells the boy to take very good care of that valuable tool. To abruptly change the subject, the master points to the armchair and demands a very serious conversation right now. Seated around the table, the three mages prepare to discuss the next steps of their risky journey. With a hot tea in hand, the blonde kid relaxes and enjoys the break while the chat flows freely. Straight to the point, the master questions the boy about the sacred blessing received from the giant crystal monster. With the cup in hand, the kid pays full attention to the wise old man's calculated words. Demanding clarity, the old man asks him to repeat, word for word, what the phantom beast said in the cave. Recalling the bizarre encounter, the MC begins to recite the enigmas whispered by the mystical creature. During the account, the kid says he was called a child loved by the world thanks to his rare eyes. To complete the thought, he says that his vision works exactly like that of those untouchable millennial beasts. As a final revelation, the newcomer says that the so-called 7 stellar kings will guide his path to the source of magic. In a thoughtful gesture, Klaus decides he can no longer hide the truth and resolves to tell the apprentice the brutal reality. In an attempt to explain the mythology, the old man details that these 7 kings are the strongest spirit beasts in the entire continent. Through an illuminated magic map, he shows that each of these legends governs a different region of the world. To be clearer, the master states that each race lives directly under the lethal protection of one of these absolute monsters. Quick on the uptake, the kid raises his hand and notes that the count of 5 nations doesn't match the prophecy's number 7. Not missing a beat, Lucas explains that the last 2 kings roam the map, flaunting their power without a fixed destination. In a frustrated tone, the senior partner confesses that the pair has been hunting these wandering legends for years without finding any useful clues. Curious about the rest of the prophecy, our protagonist questions what the heck this original source of magic is. Without an exact answer, Klaus supposes the legend refers to the mysterious primary core of all power in the universe. Faced with the boy's confusion, the master says that this true name was lost to time and became just a forgotten myth. With a gesture toward the scrolls, the old man describes the secret gem that holds the first creative magic ever forged on Earth. Mysterious as always, the old man states that the true nature of this stone has been the greatest riddle for mages for centuries. Full of hope, he decrees that finding this core is the fundamental key to unlocking all arcane secrets. By name, the sage reminds Alan of the golden tip given freely by the crystal whale in the depths. With a quick nod, the kid agrees with his great master's impeccable and grim logic. Understanding the plan, the kid realizes he needs to hunt the 7 royal beasts to find the path to the forbidden treasure. Eyes on the box of his newly won gem, the apprentice reflects on the frightening weight of his own destiny from now on. Before the blue light, the kid deduces that if a simple servant stone shines so brightly, the king's gems must be incredibly overpowered. Driven by excitement, he smiles, imagining the level of beauty and raw magic of these unattainable divine crystals. Determined to act, our boy stands up from his chair abruptly and calls the master with a completely unshakable voice. Full of courage, he vows to travel the entire continent to find these beasts and master the forbidden arts of the grimoires. With a look bordering on madness and obsession, he promises to hunt down every magic stone on the planet with his own calloused hands. To rein him in, the old man warns that accomplishing this suicidal goal requires absolutely perfect combat preparation. In a tone of state secret, the old man reveals that the current demonic invasions hide a much dirtier and more obscure motive. Through war illustrations, the master says that the monster's true targets are precisely the immortal phantom beasts. To prove the extreme danger, he reports the recent assassination of one of these protector gods by the cruel enemy troops from the west. In a harsh demand, the old man puts the pressure on, saying the kid will have to become the deadliest mage in the world to not get shredded on his journey. Facing the blue stone, the MC absorbs the scale of the nightmare without losing a single drop of his blind confidence. As a new mission, the master tells the newcomer to go down to the forge to perform maintenance on the old book he just pulled from the shelf. Down in the basement, the kid peeks through the iron doorframe, trying to find the workshop recommended by Old Klaus. Right in front of him, the suffocating heat and the sound of hammering reveal the insane and frantic pace of the magic blacksmiths. Impressed by the structure, he observes from above the colossal workshop filled with active forges and super heavy gears. In the middle of the workshop, the kid praises the chaotic and lively energy of the sweaty workers at their daily grind. Caught completely by surprise, the kid almost jumps back when a tall elf pops up behind him, reading the room. After regaining his tough guy posture, he hands over the worn-out grimoire while the pointy-eared woman assesses the damage to the pages. Quickly, the specialist guarantees the repair is a piece of cake and tells the new client to wait in the smoky waiting room. Curious about her absurd skill, our boy follows the elf as the master claims to have mastered the profession by scent alone. With a gentle smile, the elf hands over the book and tells the boy to take very good care of the new artifact. Fixed on the scene, the kid takes a close look at the skilled blacksmith's pointed ears. Curious, he immediately realizes she is an authentic woman of the forest people. The woman laughs at his staring and asks if the newcomer isn't used to her race in the forge. Quickly, the master explains that forging magic items requires exclusive techniques that humans simply don't master. With a gesture, she points to the stone guardians working hard at the anvils in the workshop. Awed by the scene, the MC's eyes widen as he sees dozens of raw mana stones on the counter. Right after, he notices a lamp illuminating the place and understands the use of the rejected ores. Before the kid can touch anything, the elf gives him a light slap and tells him not to put his hands on the junk. A bit miffed, the boy retracts his fingers while processing the information about this mysterious people. Getting straight to the point, he takes the opportunity and asks if there really is a spirit beast protecting the forest lands. Caught completely by surprise, the blacksmith's eyes widen and she questions the rookie's sudden interest. Without beating around the bush, the kid states that he wants to find the creature and asks about its color and power. With a sweaty forehead, the woman dodges, saying she's just a simple artisan and has no idea what the legend looks like. Disappointed with the answer, our hero looks blankly, not knowing what to ask next. To try and help, the elf suggests the boy try to get some gossip from the other guardians in the workshop. With a suspicious look, she whispers that those guys surely know much more about the deity than the rest of the people. Suddenly, the woman grabs the apprentice's hand tightly and pulls the boy close to the counter. Very quietly, she confesses that the kid smells very good for a human and promises to tell him a valuable secret. Confused by the bizarre compliment, the kid sniffs his own coat sleeve, trying to understand the logic. In the same breath, the blacksmith reveals that the famous merchant caravan from the forest is about to arrive in the city. Full of mystery, she says that every year, an absurdly strong guardian accompanies these travelers as security. With a quick wink, she declares that this gossip is an absolute secret, while the boy agrees, nodding his head. Far away, the said caravan of carriages is already crossing the dirt roads, approaching its final destination. Lying on the roof of a wagon, an elf warrior yawns, complaining that this escort job is a total bore. Up front, the coachman shouts that the entrance to the magic tower is just around the next bend. Eyes on the clouds, the guardian just murmurs the name of the place with a look of pure discouragement. In a quick memory, she remembers Old Klaus and the sinister battles that took place in the dark past. Images of dangerous enemies cross the warrior's mind, showing that peace never lasted very long. Bathed in the moonlight, the elf displays a proud smile, stating that the stubborn old man never managed to defeat her race. With a tired body, she stretches her arms to shake off the weariness of the long journey, dusting herself off. With an excited shout, the blonde wonders if she'll find any opponent with real courage for a good fight in that city. Back at the forge, our boy thanks her for the repair and says goodbye to the blacksmith, taking his brand new grimoire. Under the sunlight, the kid holds up the restored book with a grin from ear to ear. In the guild courtyard, birds fly peacefully, showing that the day is perfect for exploring and resting. Focused on his other task, the kid sits on a bench and rubs the blue stone, murmuring that the polishing is almost done. Suddenly, the room door opens, and the senior Lucas enters, calling for the rookie urgently. Worried about the kid's dark circles, the blonde asks if he pulled an all-nighter polishing the sacred gem. Without wasting time, the senior partner announces that the famous traveling merchants market has just opened its stalls. Outside, the main square is already bustling with the insane movement of mages and merchants trading everything. Amidst the tents, the MC is open-mouthed, impressed by the absurd amount of merchandise. Near the shelves, he confesses he's never seen so many bizarre potions and different magic tools in his entire life. With an artifact in hand, the senior shows off the absurd level of traditional craftsmanship made by the forest people. After hearing that name, our boy stops in the middle of the street, remembering the valuable tip from the blacksmith hours ago. Slapping his own forehead, the kid sighs in relief for almost having forgotten his real objective at the market. Focused on the mission, the kid scans the crowd with his eyes, looking for any sign of the forest guardians on patrol. In his mind, the promise of finding an absurdly strong warrior guiding the caravan serves as fuel. Despite the intense search, he finds absolutely no one who looks like an experienced fighter among the stalls. Suddenly, his walk stops when he comes face to face with a gigantic cage covered by a tarp. Through a gap in the bars, an animalistic eye and thick fur reveal that a beast is trapped inside. Totally stunned, the kid wonders if those crazy merchants really sell live monsters in the middle of the street. Before he can finish his thought, a violent explosion shatters the bars, sending fire and smoke into the sky. Startled by the bang, our hero whips his head around, yelling to understand what just happened. Total panic takes over the market in the blink of an eye, with people running desperately to save their own skin. From the thick smoke, a colossal shadow emerges, destroying the stalls as if they were made of thin paper. During the crisis, the kid dismisses the idea of a common animal escaping as soon as he perceives the creature's murderous aura. Face to face with the gorilla, the kid clenches his fists and murmurs that the situation is about to get really ugly. With shaky legs, the elf merchants recognize the beast but notice that its red eyes indicate pure madness. Without mercy, the monstrous beast smashes a cart next to the boy, kicking up a lethal cloud of dust. Immediately, one of the forest guards draws his sword and orders all human civilians to flee the square. Noticing the boy standing in the middle of the chaos, the soldier shouts furiously, telling him to get out of the front line. On the rooftops, the guild mages begin their counterattack, firing jets of water to exploit the target's weakness. Despite the warning to flee, our MC pulls out his magic book and activates the fire circuit without a second thought. To everyone's despair, the cursed gorilla takes the water magic to the chest and simply doesn't suffer a scratch. With a brutal swing of its arm, the monster swats the senior mages away like flies, sending them flying. With absolute coldness, the boy cracks his knuckles, calculating the perfect moment to really join the fight. Eruptions of purple and red flames explode from beneath the beast, engulfing the creature in an inferno of absurd heat. Shocked by the attack's power, the forest archers stutter as they realize the savior is just a hooded apprentice. In the middle of the smoke, with his book open, the kid cracks a predator's smile, ready to slice up the cocky enemy. With a soft landing on the stone ground, he keeps his gaze fixed on the threat, completely ignoring the screams around him. Quick on the draw, the elf thanks him for the help but warns that a rookie will end up getting himself offed if he tries to take on the gorilla alone. Slowly, the kid turns his head and gives a smug smile, repeating the soldier's phrase with heavy sarcasm. To knock the kid down a peg, the monster rises from the rubble, even more furious and roaring in pure pain. Desperate, the team's archer draws her bow but pulls back, warning that common arrows will never pierce that tough hide. Full of confidence, our hero closes his eyes and declares that everything will be fine if he plays his cards right now. Desperate about the situation, the elf soldier complains that everything would be easier if the so-called Shumiel were there to help. From the rooftop, the archer looks for her lazy colleague, wondering where the heck the guy went in the middle of the crisis. Oblivious to the confusion, our MC points his finger at the giant gorilla and fires a lethal blast straight at the monster's chest. Violent impacts of magic explode on the beast's skin, leaving the warrior jaw dropped at the speed of the attack. With an impeccable posture, the boy invokes the spells with a brutality that common mages can't even keep up with. Furious with the pain, the gorilla stomps hard on the stone ground, cracking the entire street just with the weight of its own body. In an aggressive leap, the beast charges, but the kid dodges the giant punch with a light and very well calculated move. Without losing rhythm, he retaliates in kind, throwing a purple magic bomb right at the focused enemy's furry face. Completely immersed in the battle, the little mage glides through the air as the sacred book spreads a dangerous light around him. Quick on the draw, the kid fits the blue magic stone into the grimoire's circuit, unlocking the weapon's true potential. Arm extended and with a dark look, the kid commands the spell, flaunting a frightening confidence for a mere rookie. In the same instant, a gigantic aquatic magic circle illuminates the city sky, ready to crash down on the target. With a simple flick of his wrist, the boy gives the final order for the storm to fall without a shred of mercy. In a devastating waterfall, a pillar of water crushes the monster against the dirt floor, sweeping everything away. However, in the midst of the destruction, our hero's eyes widen as he realizes something went very wrong with the attack's follow-through. Far away, the elf puts her hand to her head and screams for the boy to run, warning that the beast manipulates sand and is not a common demon. Confirming the warning, the beast tears through the whirlwind of water, creating an armor of dust and advancing, drooling with deadly hatred. Caught by surprise, the kid takes a step back as the creature's heavy hand descends to turn him into a pancake on the sidewalk. Terrified of his certain demise, the archer screams at the top of her lungs for the apprentice who is frozen in the line of fire. A colossal cloud of dust and debris rises to the sky after the bone, breaking impact shatters the street stones. From the top of the wall, the captain of the guard's eyes bulge, not believing the massacre that just happened in the square. When the smoke clears, the kid appears intact, protected by a super dense and shining water barrier. Agog, the elves whisper, impressed that a simple human blocked such a brutal blow alone. Protected by the shield, our MC grits his teeth, frustrated with the absurd resistance of the furry enemy's hide. Suddenly, a mysterious silhouette appears behind the team of archers, sporting a mocking smile. In the middle of the chaos, the beast continues to push against the water shield, while the boy endures the pressure of the crushing weight. Mud flies everywhere the exact moment the gorilla's sand fists collide with the pure water magic nonstop. Tired of playing defense, the boy invokes a sphere of chaotic purple energy right at his fingertips. Fully armored by its own magic, the big monster lifts more earth from the ground, strengthening the indestructible protection on its back. Focused on his arcane vision, the apprentice discovers a bizarre, pulsing spot on the beast and decides to shoot right there to test his luck. In a clean shot, the purple blast pierces the earth armor and hits the beast's shoulder dead on, drawing a roar of pain. With his cape fluttering, our hero maintains his offensive stance, calculating the next lethal move against the target. Without making a sound, the mysterious blonde elf appears behind the boy and complements the attack, calling the MC a squirt. Getting a huge scare, the kid jumps to the side with his guard up, not understanding how the guy got so close without being noticed. Majestically, the newcomer faces the monster while the archer far away recognizes the figure and almost falls over in shock. Full of swagger and with a smirk, the warrior asks if he scared the kid before properly introducing himself. Furious, the forest soldier screams the blonde's name, confirming once and for all the identity of the famous and problematic guardian. Ignoring the scolding, the swordsman puts a hand on his hip and maintains his untouchable hero pose in the middle of the danger. Angrily, the elf comes down from the roof, demanding an explanation for his disappearance, while the slacker replies he was just taking a walk. Shamelessly changing the subject, the warrior thanks her for the support and focuses his attention back on the sand monster. In a quick move, he cracks his neck and adjusts his equipment, showing that the fun and games are over now. Mad as heck, the girl points a finger in his face, blaming him for the injured civilians, due to the pretty boy's irresponsible delay. In the middle of the battlefield, the two guardians argue like an old married couple, forgetting the giant threat right in front of them. Tired of the nonsense, our kid gets the pair's attention, pointing to the beast preparing a new murderous pounce. Sarcastically, the blonde questions the archers if they're not ashamed to use a simple human child as a shield. Hit by the hard truth, the forest soldiers lower their heads, completely silent and humiliated by the scolding. Turning his gaze back to the boy, the guardian praises the kid's raw strength with a tone of sincere and genuine respect. Satisfied with the unlikely alliance, the blonde warrior cracks a predatory smile, stating that the fight is going to be a lot of fun. Cutting the small talk short, the mutant gorilla leaps with all its might, aiming a devastating punch at the pair standing there. In a panic, the archers scream desperately, thinking the two slackers are about to become minced meat on the sidewalk. Focused on the enemy's movement, the MC plants his feet on the ground without showing a single drop of hesitation or fear. A gigantic crater opens in the stone street when the beast's fist collides with the ground with maximum destructive force. Thanks to the surreal reflexes of the elven race, the swordsman grabs the boy by the collar and jumps far from the fatal impact. Landing softly on a house roof, the guardian asks if the squirt survived in one piece after the risky emergency jump. Annoyed by the proximity, the kid shoves the blonde's face away, complaining about his personal space being invaded so brazenly and without permission. Down below, the dust settles to reveal the monster regenerating its open wounds using pure sand magic stolen from the destroyed ground. Analyzing the scene, the warrior finds the absurd resistance strange and states that a normal beast would already be done for after that whole combo. With narrowed eyes, the boy focuses his arcane vision and finds that black core again, pulsing with dirty energy in the beast's heart. Getting the kid's attention, the unlikely partner asks if he can deliver the finishing blow if he gets a clean opening. Proposing a quick deal, the elf guarantees he'll hold the gorilla by force, but demands a small favor in return at the end of the fight. With a relentless posture, the forest guardian fixes his gaze on the beast, ready to fulfill his part of the suicidal plan. Quick to respond, the kid demands that the guy first listen to his conditions before sealing the definitive and deadly deal. Amused by the boy's audacity, the blonde warrior lets out a restrained laugh, accepting the bold negotiation in the middle of a war. Fearless of what's to come, the swordsman leaps from the roof, falling like a meteor straight toward the enraged giant monster. Watching the big guy work, our MC smiles in relief, knowing that now he'll be able to get the answers about the phantom beast. Agile fingers touch the page of the magic book, activating an arcane circle that spreads waves of power across the relic's entire cover. On the ground, the elf dodges a heavy punch and yells for the squirt to show the true limit of that stolen magic without holding back. Answering the request, the apprentice raises his arm and invokes a furious tsunami, tearing through the city's air with brutality and violence. Surrounded by deadly water currents, the boy gains a threatening aura and tells his partner to do his containment job properly. Floating in the middle of the aquatic hurricane, he declares that extracting raw power from that new grimoire is the easiest thing in the world. Full of pride, he caresses the book's spine, confirming that it is simply the perfect weapon for his destructive talent. In a fraction of a second, the storm crashes down like a liquid sledgehammer, smashing the mutant gorilla against the square's stones. From the sidelines, the guild archers hold their breath, impressed by the level of catastrophe caused by a mere human boy. Alongside his colleague, the elf warrior watches the light show, agreeing that the kid is truly a monster disguised as a child. At the center of the impact, the demonic beast roars in pure agony as the lethal mix of water and earth grinds its bones without any mercy. Satisfied with the opening, our MC flies through the air and shouts that he's sending just one more attack to finish it. With devastating force, the pillar of water crushes the monster against the ground in a brutal and noisy impact. Trapped in the middle of the storm, the giant gorilla tries to struggle as the liquid magic pulverizes everything around it. Impressed with the damage, the blonde elf smiles and praises the boy, stating that he really doesn't hold back in combat. Despite the shower of power, the beast remains standing, and the warrior gets the kid's attention with a quick shout. Straight to the point, the swordsman tells the kid to focus on a pulsing black spot on the enemy's back and hit it with everything he's got. Right on the back of the big monster's neck, a dark sphere beats like a sick heart, full of corrupted magic. With his bow in hand, the elf recognizes the anomaly, murmuring that he finally understands what that disgusting thing is. Fast as lightning, the guardian draws the string and fires a luminous arrow, hitting the target with absurd precision. In an explosion of green light, the projectile hits the weak spot dead on, illuminating the entire village square. Roars of agony tear through the air as the beast topples backward, feeling its corrupted core being struck dead center. Worried about the smoke, the elf archer asks from a distance if they finally manage to take down the monstrous target. Suddenly, bizarre red tumors begin to sprout from the ape's neck in a terrifying mutation. Alert to the danger, the two heroes face the abomination without letting their guard down for a single second. Like a flesh bomb, the monster's body expands into a mass of blood and guts, about to explode. Blood gushes across the stone floor as the anomaly grows nonstop right in front of the pair. Terrified by the scene, the female soldier screams with all her might, ordering the entire team to retreat immediately. Rushing for their lives, the girl warns everyone to get away from that imminent biological bomb. Focused on the mutation, the apprentice uses his magic eye to calculate the exact size of the fatal explosion. With a deafening boom, the monster detonates, spreading corrupted magic and destruction in all directions. Quick on the reflex, the kid raises his hand and invokes a gigantic, spinning water shield in front of the team. With the barrier up, the pure magic blocks the shockwave, saving the houses and civilians in the central square. After the impact passes, the warrior breathes a sigh of relief and asks if the nightmare is finally over, confirming they are safe. With his arm extended, our hero stands firm, sporting the same unshakable posture as always. Calmly, the barrier dissolves into droplets as the villagers stare at their savior in total shock. With a gentle touch, the kid dissipates the rest of the water magic, clearing the battlefield for good. Amidst the debris, he finds the red stone and whispers, intrigued by the origin of that strange core. Looking at the corrupted crystal up close, the boy instantly remembers the horror he witnessed back in the underground prison. In his mind, the images of the enslaved children with those same stones embedded in their chests return with full force. To cut off the bad thoughts, the blonde elf jumps on the kid's neck, calling the boy Squirt with the utmost familiarity. Full of joy, the warrior praises the kid's absurd strength while the MC complains about the proximity and demands the promised answers. Relaxed, the swordsman remembers the deal and confirms that the boy had asked for a little favor as a reward for his help. Without beating around the bush, Our boy demands to know everything about the king of the phantom beasts that lives in human lands. With a hand on his chin, the elf plays dumb, asking about the appearance and type of magic of the so-called beast. Frustrated with his slowness, the apprentice asks directly how to find the creature, while the guardian questions the reason for so much interest. With his face turned to the sky, the blonde thinks for a bit before making a very dangerous decision. Far from the mess, the two sit on top of a village roof to talk in peace and without onlookers. With a sigh, the elf understands the situation and jokes, asking if the forest people really love to watch others. Right in the kid's ear, the warrior states that he smells of phantom beast and questions if the entity said anything important. Surprised by his keen sense of smell, the kid's eyes widen, realizing that his fighting partner is no fool. To return the favor, the guardian says he'll drop a special hint about the deity worshipped by his people. Illuminated by the stars, the warrior sits near the newcomer to share the greatest secret of his untouchable race. Mysteriously, he reveals that their king reads the wind and knows absolutely everything that happens on the continent, past and future. In shock, our hero repeats that the beast can predict tomorrow, while the elf tells him to be very careful with his words. With a tense smile, the blonde warns that the beast is probably listening to their conversation right now, and if he says more, he'll get into big trouble with the deity. Putting the pieces together, the boy concludes out loud that the stellar king of the forest really knows all the world's secrets. Serenely, the swordsman declares that this is the only information allowed and tells the kid to go see for himself if he wants to find out the rest. To find the deity, the elf invites the apprentice to the secret ritual that happens every 50 years, promising that whoever defeats the guardians gets an audience. Taking a step back, the warrior announces that the next edition of the tournament is in 2 years and calls the squirt a very lucky guy. With a mocking little smile, our MC just lets out a murmur, already plotting an aggressive plan in his head. Full of attitude, the boy stands up and declares loud and clear that he doesn't need to wait 2 years to start fighting. With his magic book open, he challenges the elf to his face, saying that if he wins right there, the victory counts for the ritual. Amused by the kid's swagger, the guardian gives a wide smile, enjoying the audacious rookie's absurd courage. In a playful tone, the swordsman warns that it's no use just beating him, as the rule requires taking down all the forest guardians together. Silently, the kid listens to the conditions with a completely analytical and calculating look toward the future. With a quick nod, the blonde tells the boy to get much stronger and come back in 2 years for the real showdown. With an incredibly confident look, the warrior swears that on the day of the ritual, he will fight with full force, not holding anything back. Repeating the promise to go all out, the boy just stares at the elf's back as he disappears over the roof. From the warrior's profile, you can see the smile of someone who has finally found a worthy and interesting rival after centuries. In a dark tone and with glowing eyes, our hero tells the guy not to speak so easily, because his victory is already guaranteed. To break the mood of rivalry, a familiar voice calls Alan's name, stealing the attention of the two mages. Turning his head, the boy recognizes the old master approaching with great haste down the street. With long strides, the old man crosses the destroyed square to check if his disciple survived that monstrous mess in one piece. Straight to the point, the sage points to the red stone in the kid's hand, questioning if it's the same material seized at the prison. With a positive nod, the boy hands the corrupted core to the master to examine up close and keep safe. Caught by surprise, the elf guardian recognizes the old man and greets this Kloss guy with the utmost familiarity. Totally shocked, the old man adjusts his glasses and asks in disbelief if that slacker is really the feared guardian of the forest. With a few heavy pats on the old man's shoulder, the blonde teases him, calling his partner an cold timer, while the kid finds their bizarre friendship strange. Not understanding at all, our MC stares at the weird scene of those two old big shots trading barbs in the square. Nostalgically, Master Kloss explains that he participated in the ritual in the past, fought against the 7 warriors, and lost badly, precisely to Shumiel. Proud of his own fame, the elf boasts of his absurd strength and discovers that the sinister kid is the old man's official disciple. Suddenly, a lethal flying kick hits the guardian square in the head, knocking the guy to the stone floor without warning. Furious, the elf archer arrives, wiping her hands and cursing her irresponsible partner for causing so much useless trouble on the mission. Dragged by the neck like a sack of trash, the warrior says goodbye, shouting a "see ya later," while the boy is frozen in shock. With his hand outstretched, the kid tries to ask the elf to wait a little longer, but the pair disappears down the street, leaving the kid talking to himself. Far away, the elf warrior leaps across the rooftops, announcing he'll wait for the squirt in his homeland. Beside the master, our boy hears the question about whether he really wants to face the sacred ritual. Determined, the kid confirms the trip, stating he still has many questions to ask the deity. Sincerely, Old Kloss warns that the guardians there are incredibly strong and far superior to the kid's current level. Through the middle of the courtyard, The old man decrees that the kid doesn't stand a chance now, but can reach that power soon. With a proud smile, the sage trusts in his stubborn disciple's monstrous potential. Staring at the horizon, the MC lifts his head, already visualizing the next steps of his journey. As an extra tip, the master reveals that the stellar king of that region takes the form of a gigantic eagle. In his mind, the street boy imagines the winged beast and confesses he can't wait to come face to face with the creature. A few days later, the scene changes directly to the research laboratory of the magic tower. Filled with fancy tools, the place serves as a study base for the old master to focus on his work. Before the corrupted stone, the old man concludes that the evil material is exactly the same as the one found in the traitor's mansion. With a grim face, the sage deduces that someone planted it in the forest, as the elves would never use dirty magic. Worried about the future, the master warns Alan that the journey across the continent will be much more hellish than they thought. Suddenly, the guild's phone rings, breaking the silence of the room with an annoying sound. Quick on the draw, the old man answers the call, immediately asking what the emergency is this time. On the other end of the line, desperation runs wild, reporting that demonic troops have invaded the southern city. Far from the political problems, our boy cleans the blue magic stone with the utmost care. With a smile on his face, he holds up the gem, telling the senior that the polishing is finally done. Bathed in light, the crystal shines intensely, reflecting the brutal power of the phantom beast dormant within. Extremely curious, the kid wonders what kind of ancient and overpowered magic that wonderful item holds. Excited by the glow, the blonde approaches, asking to take a closer look at the relic. Calmly, the senior gives a friendly smile, admiring his teammates' well-done work. In a panic attack, Lucas screams, telling the kid to stop and not test the unknown magic inside the closed room. Completely deaf to the warnings, the MC puts the stone in the grimoire, activating the circuit on the spot. Extremely focused, the boy's eyes dilate, trying to master the artifact's wild energy flow. Face to face with the power, a water bubble begins to form right in the middle of the book's pages. Throughout the room, small spheres float, leaving the senior confused by the spell's apparent weakness. On the grimoire's cover, the magic circuit flashes strongly, trying to extract more mana from the glowing gem. Despite the harmless bubbles, the boy murmurs, sweating that he can feel an ocean of power trapped inside. Frustrated with the result, the kid confesses that the stone's strength slips through his fingers without any control. In the palm of his hand, the energy leaks out in blue sparks, showing that taming the phantom beast won't be easy. Attentive to the situation, Old Klaus comments that drawing out that level of magic requires absolute finesse. Explaining the theory, the master says that complex ancient spells demand a lot of technique, and the kid needs practice. Remembering the crystal well's words, the kid finally understands why the beast said the gift was complicated. Disappointed, he closes the book with a sigh, as he really wanted to see the damage the stone would do in combat right away. Cutting through the frustration, the old man explains the war situation and says the guild will send its strong mages to the southern front. Without a second thought, our hero raises his hand and volunteers to join the front line of the massacre. Denying the request, the master blocks the kid's participation, leaving the boy indignant and demanding an explanation. Firm in his decision, the sage admits his disciple's strength, but confesses he has a very bad feeling about all this. With a suspicious look, the apprentice stays in the corner, mulling over what the heck has his master so terrified. The next morning, light streams through the tower's windows as our boy calmly descends the stairs. In the corridors, he overhears two mages gossiping, confirming that the reinforcement squad has already arrived in the southern city. Alone in the middle of the hall, the kid regrets it, grumbling that he should have forced his way onto the troops. Suddenly, a receptionist gets the kid's attention, asking him to check a problem with his guild documentation. Chatting with the employee, she tries to make small talk, asking if the rookie has gotten used to the tower's boring routine yet. Discouraged, the boy replies, more or less, while trying to sort out the paperwork at the service counter. In a burst of noise, a deafening alarm cuts through the peace of the hall, startling absolutely everyone. Bathed in red lights, the central screen warns of a prison break and demands maximum evacuation of the building. In a panic, the receptionist stutters, terrified by the news of criminals loose inside the mage's base. Down the stairs, a soldier runs desperately, screaming at the top of his lungs to find the master of the tower urgently. Tearing his hair out, the guard reports that all the security in the underground cells has been mercilessly slaughtered. Faced with the chaos, our MC just observes the bizarre scene, recording every important piece of information in his mind. With a freezing look, he quickly assesses the situation and decides not to follow the escape route with the cowards. Quick as a shadow, the kid turns his back and runs down the stairs in the opposite direction, straight toward the danger. In his head, the math is simple, and he's sure the bloodthirsty killer is still hiding down there. Through the dark corridors of the basement, the apprentice walks stealthily, his senses extremely focused. Face to face with a heavy wooden door, he notices a suspicious glow leaking through the cracks. Silent footsteps announce that someone very dangerous is moving in the middle of that empty room. Hiding in the doorframe, the boy peeks into the room, ready to ambush the wretched fugitive. With his hand on the door, he pushes the wood slowly to avoid making any unwanted noise. Suddenly, the kid's eye widens as he immediately recognizes the silhouette standing under the light. Boiling with hatred, the kid comes out of hiding and points his finger, calling out the intruder directly. In the middle of the illuminated room, the old traitor Malik appears in prisoner's clothes, with a crazed look on his face. Facing the threat, the criminal displays a face full of dark marks and a look completely corrupted by dirty magic. Without wasting time, our MC opens his grimoire and prepares to finish the jerk right there. With a hoarse voice, the fallen lord recognizes the squirt and smiles, remembering the slave who ruined his life. Drooling with rage, the coward accuses the boy of ruining his perfect plans and promises to return the suffering twofold. Focused on the enemy, the MC notices that the big shot's aura is disgusting and much more bizarre than before. Completely insane, the prisoner launches into a fanatical speech about transforming the world into what it was always meant to be. Sitting a mysterious entity, the villain guarantees he received divine permission to carry out this whole carnage. Curious about the madness, the boy questions what the heck the old man has become and notices his bare feet surrounded by water. Ready for the slaughter, the traitor swears he'll use the boy as an audience, while he massacres the entire country without mercy. Drawing mana from his book, our hero invokes aggressive water currents, losing his patience and announcing he's going to finish off the trash. In a deadly dash, the ex-lord reveals a deformed demonic arm, charging at the boy who is already preparing the perfect counterattack. With a perfect dodge, our boy slides under the deadly attack while preparing a violent spell in his own grimoire. At that exact moment, the villain Malik senses the danger and tries to retreat before the magic explodes right in his face. Giving no opening, the kid fires a cross-torrent of water, smashing the coward against the stone wall of the underground cell. But the pressure doesn't last long, as the big shot uses his corrupted arm to tear through the water barrier as if it were thin paper. With an absurd leap, the killer shatters the hideout ceiling, opening a giant hole straight to the sunny surface. In the wake of destruction, the apprentice charges forward furiously, aiming at the villain through the open hole in the prison ceiling. Surprised by the agility, the boy slides through the puddle of water, regaining a firm footing after the impact of the jump. Kneeling on the dirty floor, he raises his head and focuses on the sunlight leaking through the newly opened hole. From a distance, a macabre and completely insane laugh echoes across the destroyed courtyard, sending a chill down anyone's spine. Promptly, our MC runs at full speed through the dark corridors, trying to reach the exit as quickly as possible. Atop the destroyed tower, the former lord displays his body torn by dark magic, fully assuming the form of a horrifying demon. Down below, the guild mages run back and forth, completely desperate about the level of the unexpected threat. After exiting the tunnel, the kid's foot lands firmly on the courtyard stones, marking the beginning of the real outdoor nightmare. Furious, our hero leaps over the broken parapet, screaming that the traitorous trash won't get away with it this time. Accompanied by alarms blaring nonstop, the boy dives into the chaos, determined to put an end to this dirty mess. Through the corridors of the magic tower, the leadership's voice echoes over the loudspeakers, ordering all Grimoire masters into action. Reading the evacuation orders, our boy realizes the extent of the damage as he flips through his own magic book in the middle of the street. Landing softly on the grass, the kid braces for the worst, analyzing the lightning-fast invasion that just occurred. Facing the main garden, he watches the carnage unfold under the bright afternoon sun. Screams of pure terror cut through the air as humanoid monsters massacre the rookie mages trying to flee the attack. Caught by surprise, one of the guards has his body torn by the beast's sharp claws, falling dead on the spot. Witnessing the scene, the boy unleashes his magic without a second thought and blows the monster's head off, saving a survivor. Amidst the dust, feminine screams of panic draw the hero's attention to another critical area of the square overrun by demons. In an apocalyptic scene, dozens of mages are cornered by a disgusting horde that attacks everything in sight. Quick fingers touch the magic circuit, activating a dangerous glow on the pages of the book newly acquired by the apprentice. Suspicious of the well-aimed attack, the kid wonders how the heck that entire demonic troop managed to enter the capital unnoticed. With the grimoire hovering in the air, the MC invokes a massive energy, ready to wipe the invading trash off the map. Absolute power courses through his veins, activating his predator instinct with a dark smile forming slightly on his face. Full of confidence, he murmurs that the mana is flowing perfectly, feeling he can annihilate anything that gets in his way. High above, floating ridiculously, the ex-Lord Malik observes the chaos and laughs, thinking he's in control of the whole situation. With blood in their eyes, the archers and soldiers let loose, trying to take down the flying traitor by any means necessary. But the coward conjures a grotesque magic shield, blocking all common attacks without the slightest effort. In the middle of the street, our boy lets out a roar of rage, raising pillars of living fire, burning dozens of monsters at once. Startled by the wall of flames, a soldier throws himself to the ground, feeling the brutal heat singe his hair. Walking over the sacred fire, the hooded kid emerges from the smoke as if he were the demon hunter himself. With his gaze fixed on the disgusting target up above, the kid warns in a deadly tone that the only opponent for that trash is him. Enveloped in an absurd aura of power, the hero wields the shining grimoire, silencing everyone around him. Right in the middle of the flaming storm, he commands the inferno while old Malik grits his teeth, cursing the ex-slave. Quick as a shot, the kid connects the blue gem to the circuit, preparing a wicked combination of opposing magics. Immediately, cutting gusts of air cross the courtyard, slicing through the enemy shadows and clearing the path for aerial combat. Caught by surprise, the demonic brutes are pushed far away by the aggressive gale conjured by the rookie. Combining fire with wind, the boy shoots a scalding cyclone straight into the faces of the invaders trying to surround him. Floating unharmed in the air, the coward Malik cackles, screaming that cheap tricks will never be enough to scratch his new body. By force, the big shot tries to intimidate the kid, saying he can end him before he even has a chance to feel pain or scream for help. Ignoring the cheap threat, our hero retorts at the same level, saying the old man is still just a scared, crying baby. With a rough move, one of the monsters tries to hit the boy's head with a gigantic piece of wood from his blind spot. Desperate, the senior mage on the other side screams, warning the inexperienced apprentice about the cowardly ambush from behind. But the worry vanishes when the beast realizes the blow went straight through, and that the hooded figure was actually just a decoy. Annoyed by the rookie's interference, the guild commander demands that all apprentices get out of there and prepares the entire platoon for the final attack. Without missing a beat, one of the seniors screams in desperation when he sees the real target, Malik himself, levitating in the center of the destroyed square. Arrogant and corrupted, the traitor insults the entire elite squad, calling the mages useless and weak trash. With a macabre smile, he displays the pulsing black magic core embedded violently in the middle of his torn chest. Determined to finish the monster, the guild commander activates the arcane circle, preparing a full-scale offensive without holding back. However, in the blink of an eye, dozens of black, thorny whips sprout from nowhere, impaling the soldiers in front of him without a chance to defend themselves. In a panic, the mages desperately conjure round shields, but the defense shatters instantly under the crushing force of the disgusting beast. Focused on breaking the enemy's hold, our MC leaps into the middle of the carnage, launching cutting beams of fire to tear the demonic vines. A colossal explosion blinds the courtyard, sending debris and flames everywhere in a brutal clash of opposing energies. With his whole body enveloped in violent magic, the kid charges forward, tearing through the dark mist with an insane and enraged look. The impact of the magic sends old Malik's monstrous body flying several meters back, stunning the arrogant demon on the spot. Shocked by the real damage, the traitor's ugly face contorts with hatred, letting out a deafening roar as he feels the kid's power up close. Completely frustrated, the ex-lord slides across the fountain stones, breaking the tiles in a failed attempt to stop his own heavy inertia. With a sickening smile carved on his face, he shows his rotten teeth, proving the attack was nowhere near enough to finish him. Behind a magic shield, one of the mages murmurs in terror, reporting that the disgusting beast is regenerating almost in real time after each hit. Suspicious of the absurd strength, our boy notices the dirty and bizarre glow of the black stone embedded directly in the beast's flesh. Far away on a balcony, the forest archer's eyes widen as she sees the destruction and recognizes the street kid fighting on the ground. With the utmost calm, the corrupted villain tears his own skin, pulling out the shining pure mana stone from within. Revealing his dirty trick, he scoffs at everyone, stating he was always disgusted by the stupid idea of depending on weak external magic. In an abrupt gesture, the coward shatters the crystal in his own hand, releasing the ancient energy into the air as he absorbs it all for himself. Bathed in a pillar of light, the monster screams to the sky, saying this was always his perfect plan from the very first step. Mercilessly crushing the gem, he pulls all the divine power into his corrupted veins, flaunting a colossal aura. Faced with this nightmare, the kid clenches his jaw, staring at the grotesque evolution of that human trash before him. Showing off his claws, the transformed old man lets out a wicked laugh, ready to test his new deadly rank. Pulling the murderous vines, he rises in a dirty tornado, murmuring about how pathetic it was to accept this miserable level of magic. In a complete delusion of grandeur, the demon demands the kid bow before his splendor and recognize who's in charge now. Boiling with pure hatred, our hero ignores the pathetic little show and promises to turn the disgusting coward into a nice pile of full ashes. With a terrifying smile, the demon swears he will wipe out the forest guardians right after finishing off the kid. In a heavy threat, the coward claims he will massacre every one of this nation's sacred beasts without mercy. Surrounded by destruction, the false lord shouts to the four winds that he will usurp the throne and become the new stellar king. Desperate about the cursed prophecy, The guild mages lose hope and murmur that the human kingdom is done for. To shut the talking trash up, our boy retorts on the spot, saying that will absolutely never happen. Full of attitude, the kid announces he's sending that disgusting scum straight to the bottom of hell today. In a quick move, the hero opens his own grimoire, ready to end this fight once and for all. Furious with the affront, the villain fires thorny whips, doubting a kid like him could ever beat him. Straight into the magic circuit, the apprentice's fingers fit the blue stone, activating the battle's true trump card. Agile against the lethal blows, the boy promises he still has a meeting scheduled with the legends of this world. Confident in his own destiny, he decrees that he needs to find the true 7 stellar kings, no matter the cost. Sarcastically, the monster provokes, asking where all the strength to send him to his grave is and challenges him to a fight. Immediately, a colossal torrent of power begins to leak from our protagonist's body, tearing through the city's air. In a spiral of pure energy, the kid's magic escapes his control, creating a gigantic, luminous hurricane in the courtyard. Right in the center of the chaos, the sacred book reacts to the absurd force, spreading a blinding flash everywhere. Bathed in the intense light, the little mage concentrates absolutely all the raw power he has in his veins now. Blind with hatred, the corrupted villain charges with everything he's got, telling the kid to just drop dead already. Without blinking, the kid focuses his arcane vision on the chaotic flow of magic, ready to tame the dormant beast. Suddenly, the spirit of the magic wolf leaps from the pages, tearing through reality with a crushing presence. Face to face with the ghost, the kid recognizes the creature that tested him back in the secret library. Surprised by the unlikely alliance, the hero cracks a smile, realizing the legendary beast decided to help in the fight. Instantly, the untamable power obeys its master and begins to spin in a perfect and lethal harmony. With pupils dilated from pure energy, our boy sees the mystical gears aligning in the sky. With a soft, calculated touch, he manipulates the sacred gem with a dexterity no senior ever dreamed of having. On the illuminated pages, the ancient spell takes form, proving that no matter how hard it is to tame this force. Full of swagger and conviction, the apprentice swears to himself that he will master any challenge they throw at him. Under his command, the locked arcane circles break, releasing the ultimate, hidden seal of the divine equipment. Sporting a victorious smile, the kid lifts his face, knowing that now the real party of destruction is about to begin. Absurdly fast, a colossal pillar of light explodes toward the clouds, swallowing the boy's body in a bluish storm. Completely terrified, the corrupted traitor takes a step back, not understanding where that insane level of magic came from. Far from the epicenter, the elite mage's eyes widen, stuttering before such an absurd and off-the-charts invocation. Boiling with determination, the boy decrees with a dark voice that he will seize his own future with his own 2 hands. In a majestic explosion, the gigantic crystal whale emerges from the spell, washing the capital with a waterfall of pure and overwhelming power.